Shadowverse Crucible. We are week 2 into the Crucible format. I'm Sterling, that's Exodium, and we are here looking at the best players in Pan America and the best players in Europe who have played through this entire year, earned their spots here today because they're going to be competing, representing their regions in the World Grand Prix this December.
That's right. And I hope you guys got a chance to check out last week because exciting matches, not a lot of because there's only so many matches, but a decent amount of upsets going on.
Yeah.
Some puzzled looks if you remember some of those games. Pretty hype stuff. I can't wait to see what decks they've chosen for this week.
Yep.
Obviously, and the preparation, because that's the important thing about the Crucible, right? These players are preparing for the World Grand Prix. We need to see how their preparation is so they can go to Japan and feel comfortable playing against all these high-level opponents with any type of decks that they want to play and be able to adjust to the situation.
That's right, yeah. Preparation is the name of the game. And the format for the Crucible, these players have prepared for an all-inclusive 3-day round robin. So day 1, they play Take 2, Rotation, and Unlimited, 1 match each. Now that's flip-flopped and they're playing a new game mode. So if you played Take 2 last week, you're playing Rotation this week with another different opponent until you've played through all 3 different game modes.
That's right. It's super fun. I think we get the best mix of what these players can do before we actually shuttle them off to a different country.
That's right. Let's take a look at the matches for today. POTWASHER versus ESSIA in Take 2. SPRAYQUAZA versus HISHIRO in Unlimited. CRUMSION versus MENSOU in Rotation to round out the day. And of course, the Europe team is leading the Pan America team by 1 point, 2-1. If you win a match, you get a point. It's that simple.
That's right. And what these players are playing for, again, of course, is the lovely new Cerberus figurine. If you guys have seen it, actually, if you guys can catch a look at it, it's right over here. Nobody has this. Okay, well, somebody might have this.
Some people might have.
Yeah, some people might, but you guys don't, okay?
You have it sound
and
off
none of
the
these
chat,
players.
Yeah. Each one of the winning players will be taking home that nice figurine.
Yeah, it's super cool. And Cerberus, I believe, is like the leader of choice, I want to say, for at least this expansion. Everybody's packing Cerberus in pretty much all their decks these days.
Pretty much. I mean, like, the old Cerberus was great with aggro Shadow, and the new Cerberus is great with Shadow.
That's right. It's even good in Unlimited. It's kind of taken the place over the old Cerberus. So, very good figurine to have.
Yep, that's right. Now, the first match of the day, POTWASHER versus ESSIA. You can actually vote to see who's going to, you can decide who you think is going to win. You type exclamation point, vote POTWASHER, exclamation point, vote ESSIA in the chat, and we're going to be revealing a little bit about, we're going to be revealing that into the match.
That's right. And I thought last week the voting was super fun, right? We got to see what the viewers weight the players as last week.
It's the one time that now we actually get to participate with chat.
Yeah.
There's a 10-minute delay. There's not a whole lot we can do, but this is a way we can all...
Yeah, it's super fun. The thing that I really like about it, too, is just perspective, right? So, like, last week, for instance, HISHIRO got almost none of the vote against CRUMSION, but he ended up blasting CRUMSION out of the water. That's the look I was talking about. Yeah, 2-1 in Take 2. Now, coming into POTWASHER versus ESSIA, these are 2 of the most popular players from both Pan America and Europe, so I'm kind of interested to see what these viewers think about these 2 players specifically. I want to see this to be pretty close to 50-50.
Oh, yeah, okay. Now we're looking at POTWASHER's draft for Take 2. This is, of course, a best of 3. So, if you win two games, the match is yours. POTWASHER has chosen Forestcraft. We saw Forestcraft. HISHIRO chose Forestcraft a couple times. Twice, yeah.
That's right. And it's probably just one of the most popular choices because it can play that really nice aggressive game plan. It has a lot of nice card generation. We talked a lot about just cards replenishing themselves in your hand as you play them. Forestcraft is really good at it. Plus, it has some good end game options, right? We saw it actually carry very well into the late game, even against Swordcraft and other decks last week.
Remember last season for Gate of the Sky when I believe it was Victoria who chose Mardu in Take 2, and he actually won that game. Won that game with Mardu.
You know what? Sometimes a 7-play point 7-7 is just bigger than what your opponent can do.
Totally. Yeah. Looks like POTWASHER though chose the White Panera and the Shamu.
Probably a better choice.
Yeah,
Shamu Shama is actually pretty good. It gives you it's one of those choice cards. Any choice card really in Take 2 is just good. It just gives you more options over the state of the game than most of the other cards.
White Panera is amazing too. It's 5/5 with Ward. And when you evolve it, it has Storm. You don't even need to actually activate the effect to evolve it. You can, obviously, if you have those cards. But just evolving it on turn 6, 5 damage to the face.
And great. Storm, just like in Rotation and Unlimited, in Take 2, it's no different. Maybe in Take 2, it is a little bit different in the fact that it's very strong in Take 2. Any Storm options basically kind of mess up your opponent's math, right? Because they're thinking, this is what they can do, this is what I have to fight against, what's on board, because everything is slow. but then you pop out with this really nice late game Storm option. They're not really expecting it.
POTWASHER, though, chose the Elf General there. It's a really solid bronze card to take, too. It's a 4/3/4, has Ward. Fanfare, put a fair in your hand. Great value, get cards in your hands, nothing wrong with that.
And along with replenishing cards in your hand, the other cards to look out for in Take 2 are those cards like Ward, Bane, Storm, Rush. Basically any keyword that helps them in combat is really effective in Take 2, because Ward in the early game, you know, 4-play 0.34 with Ward, you're like, yeah, that's all right. But later in the game, when you can couple that with, say, a 6-drop or another 4-drop and protect that one that can be more aggressive, it gains a lot of value. Yeah, we just see the nice curve, especially last week we saw HISHIRO when he was playing, and even CRUMSION when he was drafting Forestcraft. They really favored early curves with it. I mean, that's basically how Forestcraft has always been. And if you look at the curve right now for POTWASHER, a lot of early game, not a lot of late game.
Yeah, a lot of, I mean, right across the board, 4 2-drops, 4 3-drops, 4 4-drops. Definitely probably want to go for some more 2-drops here. So probably the Fairy Circle and the Leaf Man is, I'd say, like a great choice there.
Leaf Man's pretty good, yeah. Adept Archer can be very good. Weld Philosopher, a decent card as well. Of course, Weld Philosopher, not one of those cards that has amazing stats, but again, it's versatile. It can give you some card generation.
Man, getting another 1-drop and another 2-drop, that's great. He's gonna go with the Leaf Man there.
Easy Divine Retribution pick. Whenever you see good hard removal spells in Take 2, you should probably take them. As we talked about, a Marduk winning the game, any big follower post Evo points late in the game can take over, so you need to be able to take care of some of that in your deck.
You need to have those options. Mountain Deity is another way you can accomplish that. Has a nice enhanced cost, getting stats, getting rush. Very, very solid card.
Saw that be super effectively. He had like 2 or 3 of them in each of his decks, and they were just awesome.
Dude, those slightly high value bronze cards in Take 2, like they run the game away.
That's right, slightly value. I would say rush and get big is
it's
better
pretty
than
great.
slight,
In Take 2, it's amazing. Disciple of Unkilling. Okay, yeah, that's another really great card.
We saw those cards break open with HISHIRO last week. Oh my goodness.
He knew how to use those cards very, very well.
Absolutely. And if we notice, ESSIA on the other side of the table here has Swordcraft. So one of the matchups we've already seen. Can go either way. I mean, I think last week we were all stunned when we saw HISHIRO win with Swordcraft against CRUMSION. That game, that faded game we were talking about, that elicited that response from CRUMSION. But nobody saw the lethal. Chat,
maybe a couple people.
Maybe a couple people
but like,
saw the lethal.
I don't think many people were like, "Oh yeah, he's got lethal right there."
Yeah,
two turns now.
And he just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards play, little attack here, little attack there, lethal. We're all just stunned.
Yes,
CRUMSION's like,
stunned.
What? We were all like, excuse me? What's going on right now? Another Marduk. That, you know what? When you get, when the universe tells you something.
Oh yeah, dude. POTWASHER could have drafted 2 Marduks.
Really
though? I mean, Matira's not a bad card though.
Matira's not bad. Marduk can't, see, the problem with Marduk is that if it doesn't win the game and your opponent just kind of lets it sit there, you can't really do a whole lot.
Yeah, that's true.
So your opponent can play around that card very well. Apostle of Unkilling is pretty good, especially when you have so many 1-drops.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, when the universe tells you something, maybe sometimes you should play Marduk. If it's like, you know what, we're trying to give you this, we're giving you a sign, but
trying to get maybe a Moon and Sun, something like that. Universe gives you a Marduk. You gotta take it.
You gotta take it. That's just what you do. So the draft looked pretty good. His curve looked even all the way across the early game. We saw some really nice removal spells picked up from POTWASHER there, so I think his chances are pretty good. And against Swordcraft, again, it's an even-ish matchup. We've talked about it last week. It's about who can maintain control of the board.
Yeah, I mean, Swordcraft can't get great options with Weathered Vanguard that was recently adjusted. It's still a great card.
Still great.
And you can also drop Arthur as well on top of that, so you can have Weathered Vanguard on 7 and then Arthur on turn 8 if you get that nice draft.
That's right. Arthur actually,
pretty good.
It is pretty good, and we saw Arthur kind of move out of rotation just because
absolutely, yeah.
It being on the same curve as Latham and Sky Fortress, and it kind of has the old problem that other decks have had, like Shadowcraft, where everything costs 7, all the good cards. So we've seen Arthur moved away from rotation, but in Take 2, still a very solid card.
Very solid card indeed. All right, game 1 of this match. Who's going to win, POTWASHER or ESSIA? We're seeing Forestcraft into Swordcraft. What are the mulligans going to look like?
That's right. And if you guys are new to the Crucible, again, basically Pan America versus Europe this year has turned into the United States versus France.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is the battle we're happening right now, and ESSIA has freshly been picked up by Tempo Storm, a team that POTWASHER is on as well. So this is a team battle. Of course, these players have battled before, so we'll see who can find their edge here in Take 2.
yeah, another interesting thing to consider here is that these players scrim together a lot.
Yes.
A lot of
Probably
their time.
more so now, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, they're getting ready for the World Grand Prix. And again, if you guys are new, World Grand Prix is a tournament that's happening next month in Japan. Top prize is 1 million USD.
Players,
1 million.
1 million United States dollars. Players have qualified in Japan, in Korea, all across the world. Of course, Pan America and Europe as well. And it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be insane. I believe this is the biggest card prize pool for any card game today.
For a single win. Yeah.
For a single win, yeah, absolutely. So, get things started here. ESSIA with an okay curve to start here. Not powerful curve, but can cast things.
Sure.
So that's good. POTWASHER with a really nice hand here. He's got removal. He's got Oceanus, which can turn into removal or heal.
Having the fairy circle on one is really nice, especially with the Seal of Justice that can be played later on to remove something else.
And the Matera going second, which means he's going to have extra Evo points to utilize spells like that.
And the last card in this draft really coming in nice there.
That's right. So we're going to see ESSIA kind of put on the brakes here with the hand. Not really a lot to do here, which is actually going to open up the game a lot for POTWASHER. So if ESSIA had a 2-drop here, play most likely would have been Sylvan Justice to try to keep pace, but now that he only has to deal with a 1-1,
Throw out the 2 fairies and then that's it. Or maybe just throw down a Leaf Man, get a little more value.
Leafman seems like a pretty solid option here, so does the other 2-drop in hand. Realistically, if your opponent plays a 1-drop and you have a 2-drop and it has a chance to attack into the 1-drop, that's a free card, right? That's +1.
Yeah, now the Valkyrie does have the ability to enhance into a bigger follower later on down the road when you get to know.
That's true.
Points. So it might benefit POTWASHER to keep that card and not play that risk. When you have access to another 2-drop or 2 fairies.
So POTWASHER's considering a couple things, right? So 2 fairies, what does that mean? It means that the 1-1 can be traded into by one of the fairies, but the fairy that's left over probably isn't going to contest a 3-drop very well. So I think fairies are going to be not... Oh, never mind. Okay. So they will be the option here. So maybe he thinks that he can trade into the 3-drop with the Sylvan Justice, and that's the play next turn because he can play a fairy alongside of it. You know what? Curve-conscious decision. He wants to be able to use all of his play points every single turn. I can't fault him for that.
Pretty good. And considering the hand of ESSIA, I feel like it's a great turn as well. With Tanya, it's just another 1 defense follower that, yeah, ESSIA is probably going to be able to get a shot off on an attack off it, but then the fairy can just trade right into it next time.
That's true. That's true. See if he can protect it. See if he draws anything that can.
Ooh, okay, nice. Gets on the board.
That's right. So now,
play a Leaf Man along with that, possibly.
Does he want to fill out the curve here? I think.
Yeah.
I think it's not a bad option because of the Matera. The Matera can clear off 2 things next turn.
Clear off the Bane and trade it in. Considering ESSIA's hand, it's rather weak turn 4 on the play. He has
Here and now, your
along with
salvation.
another Spine Blade, another removal spell, and POTWASHER is just going to fill the board.
That's right. I think the card advantage right now is in POTWASHER's favor. But again, ESSIA does have that Usurping Spine Blade, so he can get back into this game pretty easily with that. Just don't know if he wants to use any of his big removal spells on any of these small followers. Might not have a choice, though. His hand's looking pretty slim.
Yeah, and one of the most difficult turns for Swordcraft in rotation and unlimited is turn 4 on the play, especially into Forestcraft. And now, ESSIA, what does he do this turn? Usurping Spine Blade, see what you get. Maybe you get the Blade, the Gilded Blade, and you can clear up another follower.
Looks like that's what he's going to lead with here. He does have the Quick Blader to take out one of these 1-1s. It's a 1-1 with Storm for 1. Gets a Necklace, which is actually pretty good here. You can go Quick Blader Necklace and actually clear off the board.
4 damage, yeah.
Or that, yeah, that works too. That actually might be the smarter play because that'll force an evolve on the Bane as opposed to the Fairy being able to run into it. I like that as well.
Okay. So he's thinking exactly how he wants this play.
Speed things
But it is
up.
going to be the Quick Blader, okay, which means the Gilded Necklace is more than likely coming down.
Makes sense. This forces the Evo point or at least a removal spell out of the hand of POTWASHER. He's second-guessing himself now, though.
And in take 2, Evo points are life.
He trades. He's going for the value here. Interesting. Okay. I don't mind it.
I don't mind at all, but that's 4 damage that ESSIA could have gotten face, and he traded it in for there.
And damage in take 2 is primo. These are not good decks with good finishers in them. So every point of damage matters when you can get it in. ESSIA feels like he really wants all the value he can get because he doesn't have very many cards left in his hand.
Now, POTWASHER can fall into a bit of a trap here if he's unbeknownstly. So Matera evolve, and you can take out the Tanya, and then Assassination Shoots is great command for ESSIA. A nice, easy way to clear up that evolve, and that's a lot of resources spent for POTWASHER.
I think POTWASHER being conscious of all the value things that are going on, I don't think he's going to use a Matera into a board with just one follower. This might just be a Sylvan Justice Leafman turn pass. Because honestly, I like not using an Evo point this turn. You don't need to. Force your opponent to use their Evo point over your 2-2 if they really want to. ESSIA being on the play with less Evo points, you're completely fine with that.
Maybe just Sylvan Justice, Fairy Circle, pass. Honestly, they'll play another follow.
That could be it. Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind playing something to the board just to give your opponent that option to Evo. You really want to try to get your opponent to Evo.
Right.
I know ESSIA is not one of those, you know,
It's going to Evo into
he's
a
just going to
fairy.
Evo into a 1-1, but, you know,
Yeah.
give your opponent that option. Always give them a chance to make a mistake.
My daggers.
Just going to pass? Okay. Clear.
Let's play.
I like it. Use all the play points.
Use all the play points.
That is the mantra. It's like something I'm sure Team Tempo Storm is talking about in their boot camps every day. Use all your play points. Use all your play points. Use all your, that's, they make the rings with their fingers, you know. Sit in a pose and just recite the mantra.
Play the cards in my hand. Draw the cards in my deck. Use all my points.
That's right. That's how they get into the rhythm. That's how they get to transcendence. Shadowverse. That's how I got my third eye.
Of course. Oh, we all remember that. Good day. Great day for us all. Now ESSIA, if he wants to establish any kind of threatening board, he's going to have to use the first Evo here. And going first with only 2, that your opponent has 3 left to work with. Oh, man. Passing on turn 5.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. It's not the worst because you're only passing against a fairy, but you're also passing against the tempo that POTWASHER is going to put together this turn. Now, I'm going to use your word, unbeknownst to ESSIA, POTWASHER actually doesn't really have a good tempo forward hand. He's got a very reactive hand, unless he wants to empty it to set up for a Leaf Man. So realistically, ESSIA's play looking pretty good here.
Just looking all right.
Yeah, looking
he is.
right.
POTWASHER can play down the Fashionista. Maybe Evo face, but
No.
you don't have to. You don't have to. That's fine.
Unless you know that you can set up a board that's going to be very hard to deal with. So the one thing about Evoing face this turn is that you will produce 2 threats. Right? So your opponent most likely can only Evo over 1. But if they have a removal spell and can take out both your followers, you just wasted an Evo point. So it's a decision and or a risk gamble that you need to take if you want to force either cards out of your opponent's hands or just push more damage over the course of a few turns with Evo sticking around.
Elegantly, gorgeously.
Press there.
Let's play.
That. Fills up the board with another fairy and goes face for 1 damage. Saves an Evo point.
All right, so ESSIA cannot afford to not bust a move this turn. He's got to do something
Gotta
here.
do something. This board is going to start ramping up very quickly for POTWASHER. Answer this.
I want
He has a Weathered
Alright.
Vanguard for next turn and drew into the Disciple of Usurpation, which is a great option.
I actually don't mind the Jutsu being used and the Evo point being used right now. The Evo point gets extra value this turn
I'll get over
because
this.
if this loot, I mean, he doesn't have to, but if the loot follower does attack the Disciple of Usurpation, then he gets more value.
That's true.
So, yeah, deciding to save the Evo points. These are 2 of the top players on the planet right now, so you will see them be a lot more conservative than most of the players that you used to see.
It's turn 6 going second. We haven't seen a single evolution orb used.
That's right. Absolutely. The one thing that I am worried about for ESSIA is just card economy. 3 cards left in hand. They are not powerful cards. You see the cost in the cards in his hand right now, 3, 3, and 1.
Leaf's gotta do what a
Not
leaf's
going to
gotta
contest
do.
late game boards very well, and POTWASHER is going to set up a very wide board right now. So saving the Evo points now, pushing damage when he has a ton of threats, as opposed to just 1 or 2.
That's right. I don't mind saving the Evo point here. I mean,
The power of the
now I guess, okay, so last turn the thinking was if I present a threat here, my opponent's going to have to deal with it. And I don't really gain that much. But I think this turn, using the Evolution Orb aggressive, POTWASHER gained a lot.
He did, and if you look at the context of the rest of his hand, he is also running out of threats. Things to actually play to the board to win the game with, so maybe he's feeling the pressure now. If I don't push damage with what I have now, he might never be able to.
What a relief.
I see a it's going to be nice. Fill up just a little bit. Weathered Vanguard here, fills up the boards.
Great.
It's easy. It's really great.
Right, so Deceptive 3-drop turns into a 7-drop that fills the board. This is one of the cards that we were talking about.
Yep.
It used to produce bigger than 1/2s, and that's what made it unfair.
Oh,
Now it produces 1/2s. Still a really, really good card. As you can see, it can test the
Still a
board
hard
very well.
threat.
But,
Looking like a Matera turn.
Terra's
Kinda
pretty
feeling
nice.
it. What else would POTWASHER be able to do? He has another fairy circle. He's had 3 fairy circles.
So maybe he's counting damage as well. So he just came into Owlman. Big ambush attacking follower.
Yep.
People like to make fun of this card when it was revealed. I remember this because I and myself were the ones that revealed this card.
Yep.
Turns out, the card can put in some work, folks. Look at this thing.
That's huge.
That is a 6 attack follower that you cannot do anything about. He's going to push 4 damage this turn, put his opponent to what? 8. And that 6/3 can evolve into an 8 attack follower next turn. So if ESSIA does not find a ward, a heal, something.
He has Gilded Goblet. He might just have to throw that down, but oh my gosh, drew right in the Dragon Knights on turn 8.
That's, I mean, I don't know if he can afford to do that, right? I mean, he can trade and get a ward down, but that's scary, right? Because he knows the dress is in hand.
Yep.
He knows that anything can topple a ward
That's
right now.
He knows, one of the dresses is in hand. Oceanus can clear off the ward from Dragon Knights.
Yeah. So Dragon Knights, if it is played for 8 this turn, will lose the game.
Yep.
Unless he clears the board and pre-evos the board.
Right.
But no, even that'll be done because Oceanus plus Dress plus the 3-drop spell can all be played next turn.
Yep,
so yeah.
that's right.
So it has to be a heal this turn.
Has to be a heal. He could also, Tartman get the 3 damage off the board.
Calm down.
I mean,
Calm down.
It's possible, man. And then he
Tartman.
can still heal. Oh my gosh! Is this Tartman evolve?
Get out of here. Get out of here.
No, it's not. He traded in.
Get out of here. He just played the Tartman.
Okay, he's going for the
funsies.
damage.
I've got a real bargain for you.
He just played it for the 2-drop. That's fine. Oh boy. Okay.
There it
Calm
is.
down.
There's the heal. So full trade plus heal means that POTWASHER now needs to find something to finish this game. He's 2 damage away right now.
Oh, it doesn't have a
going on?
targeting effect. That's right.
Oh, never mind. That's right, it doesn't
That's
target.
right. I just remember that. Oh,
Well, never
wow.
mind. POTWASHER just got blown out. Forget this. Tartman, best card
Best
in
card,
the game.
Best card in A, man.
There
Oh
we
my
go. Yeah, let's
gosh.
show some Tartman on the screen. Get some love in chat for Tartman.
Wow.
Sometimes we don't know every single effect all the time,
True.
but Tartman never forgets.
He never forgets, man. He's been waiting all season.
Ever since he came out, he's been
Yes.
waiting for a top-level game to make his presence known.
And flip a game on its head.
That's right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, untargetable bounce.
You and I
Unbelievable
have
stuff.
fun.
What a way to put this game around.
Yeah, wow.
Now, we're not saying that ESSIA has won this game because of the Evo Tartman. We're just saying it was very impressive.
POTWASHER it was very impressive. Yeah, POTWASHER still has more resources. ESSIA does have Dragon Knights and an Axe Princess, so he can actually draw a card with playing the Dragon Knights with its enhanced effect.
That's true. The tempo being swapped does help with Dragon Knights in hand, though. That does mean that a couple more board swings will be in favor for ESSIA, but POTWASHER has threats that you need to deal with, right? This Metera can't really stick around for very long, otherwise it feels terrible. You know about the dress, you know about the Owlman now. You've only got a limited amount of time to get things done.
That's right. And ESSIA can. Ooh,
Hello.
that was really, really nice.
Hello. So
Okay.
a possible way to deal with this Metera.
That seems like a pretty lucky shot. There's no way to clear off anything else. It's gonna be a 1 out of 3 chance.
Well, you can get the blade, right, which will immediately kill it if you preemptively deal the 1 damage.
Right.
You can also get the boots. So there's a couple ways.
He is gonna go for the Apostle.
Everything in its
Take the Metera.
He gets.
Ooh, gets a necklace. Okay, so
Necklace is great.
Okay, yeah. And he can still trade in with the Tartman if he wants.
Yeah, so this is
So
rough.
save the necklace.
Yeah, you can't trade into any of these 2/2s before actually using the loot card. Why that's important is because the Apostle of Usurpation, whenever you play a loot card, would deal 2 damage to a random enemy follower. Of course, you want to hit that 5/1 because it has that clash effect draw card. You don't want to let your opponent draw any more cards this game, especially when you're kind of behind.
Okay, so he could put the Gilded Necklace on the Tartman.
I think that's where it has to go.
And hope for the 1 out of 3 before trading.
Not a lot of time left.
Yeah, that's a really difficult choice.
It is. Nope, he is going to trade. He's just going to go for the highest value trades, maybe? He's still thinking about it.
He's going back and forth, man. That's a tough choice.
And it's over.
Ooh, pumping the 5/6. Interesting. Okay, so just making the biggest follower, allowing the card draw. Not a bad move. Really wants to keep the board in his favor now that the evolution orbs are gone.
Okay, POTWASHER, let's see. With the Apostle of Usurpation on the board, Owlman is not a great play.
No.
Because,
Well, I mean, you can do it, right? You have the demon dress, you can attack into it, and then play the Owlman.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Problem is, there's nothing really to follow the Owlman up with to try to win the game. There,
And is that how you want to be spending your?
I think you have to. Yeah, I think you have to get rid of this. If any more loot cards come into the hand of ESSIA, it could just turn this entire game around. But as I say there's not really a follow-up, as we talked about, wards can be a follow-up to big, aggressive followers. Owlman into a Goblin Mount Ogre would have been really nice, but it looks like he's going to start with the Goblin Mount Ogre just to get the board back.
Hey, let's
Well,
play.
board. He's been hanging on to this Dragon Knights. I think that's definitely the right choice to make. Axe Princess, followed by Dragon Knights will get him some more resources in his hand.
Ooh.
That's not a bad play either. But what else can we do this game?
I never got into princess
Yeah, this
stuff.
is great. And the poll is up. Wow, I did not expect it to
That
be
is
like
not
this.
what I expected, yeah.
Wow, POTWASHER with a
Wild.
64% vote of confidence from our viewers. That is crazy. Last week, ESSIA had 85% of the favor against SPRAYQUAZA.
Yeah, that's right.
This is showing us some favoritism. Everybody loves them some POTWASHER.
Everybody likes some POTWASHERs, man.
I cannot disagree. I mean, you know, the man that keeps your dishes clean, got to show him some love.
Yeah, show him some love. Okay, POTWASHER, this is a great turn for Oceanus. His Water Spout can clear off the board, and you can trade the Fairy in to get off those big followers, and that's Dragon Knights off the table.
It's pretty good.
This is the Land's End.
Yeah, very good as a matter of fact. I like this a lot. There is another enhanced card for ESSIA though, so if the 1/1 isn't cleared, which it doesn't look like it will be, more card draw in the hand for ESSIA here. Giving
Not to
him some
mention,
life.
Investigation draws 3 cards.
Yeah, and Shining Bellring Regal should draw 2 cards, so
Oh, yeah.
a lot of options here for ESSIA. Not this turn, but after the cards are
In the
drawn.
following turns,
Yes,
of course,
in the
yeah.
following turns.
POTWASHER has to decide if he wants to throw down anything else this turn.
Well, I think he's looking through his deck to see if the 2/1 could tutor anything that he cares about next turn.
Right.
Just throws the Owlman down unambushed. Very interesting. He's like, you know what? I just want to push tempo here.
Felt the curve. ESSIA comes into a ward. Ward is, at this stage in the game, ward can mean whatever. So if ESSIA wants to, he can investigation right now for 6. He'll draw 4 cards.
Yeah, and then Shining Bellringer. I kind of like this. Just
Like that turn.
draw a ton of cards right now.
Set up for next turn as best you can.
That's right. Now, I guess the consideration is, you know, what do I draw into to then take over the board? What kind of removal do I have? What kind of big followers do I have?
Right.
But I think the Charlotta doesn't really do a whole lot here just because Oceanus runs into it straight away. And those are
job.
some decent endgame cards to draw.
Godsworn, excuse me, what am I? Dark Saber.
You're too on this Godsworn Alexiel, man. He plays Haven like nonstop now.
Oh yeah. ESSIA, of course, did not draw Godsworn.
No,
Alexiel.
no, that's right. Melissa though,
Melissa's
another
great
big
card.
ward that
Oh,
gets even
yes.
better when your opponent has followers in play. So really nice option there. But yeah, just more cards in general, beefier cards. As you notice, not a lot of low cost cards there.
Yeah,
At least
I
some
don't mind
mid-rangey
just throwing down
cards.
the front lane Cavalier this turn.
No, nothing wrong with that. I kind of like the Bellring Angel. Just fill up the entire hand.
There is 5 damage on the board. If ESSIA doesn't throw down the war, he's going to be taking 1.
I've got it.
Down the ambush with the Tanya instead.
Nothing wrong with this either. Removal. Yeah, you're not dead yet. Only 5. Your opponent did play their Owlman, so a big ambush follower isn't going to follow this up. But that card
That's great. Oh my
was
gosh.
really decent. So maybe the trade would have been in the mind for POTWASHER, but I think with Leafman now, I think you just play down your followers and pump them and go.
That's the name of the game at this point with the hand that POTWASHER has. Faces the place.
Now, of course, if he does trade, he can potentially make this 3/1 ineffective here.
For a sneezy?
So we'll see how that
Leaf's
goes.
gotta do what a leaf's
Oh,
gotta
never mind. That was
do.
Weedman. I thought it was the one that tutored.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Weedman is just a pump. But no, he's not going to take, he's not going to use it the other way. So
Gosh.
basically just neuter the 1/1, fill out the entire board, make it immune to damage type effects.
ESSIA does have multiple wards in hand. He can throw down Darksaber Melissa along with Shining Bellringer Angel. He can trade into the Oceanus with Anya, clear off one of those big followers. I think that's what he has to do.
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, he can just
Very
double
rough.
ward this turn and remove, so he's still safe. Ish.
It's a 4-8 ward.
That's big.
Bellringer Angel's going to get him some more draw, so next turn he'll have even more options, possibly a removal spell, which can help him out a lot.
And he does have some get back into this game with the frontline Cavalier to heal him up a little bit.
That's true. That's true. Frontline Cavalier behind the ward.
That's right, and again, these followers will get reduced in attack value by 1 when the turn shifts.
Still gets a ward, but has more attack value. Oh, that's just game right there.
Oh,
Oh,
what a draw!
Oh, divine.
And you see it on
Retribution.
Essia's face.
Oh man. Oh.
That's why you take the big removal spells.
That's why you take divine retribution. He
Wow.
insta-picked the divine retribution.
How? So I mean, last week and this week combined,
Yeah.
we have seen top decks basically just do it, right?
Yeah.
For
Pretty much.
these Take Two games. But that's why we love Take Two, right? Because you take all these one-off cards,
Yeah.
you play them to the best of your ability, and then your deck rewards you at the end. It's like you played your deck the way you needed
it's
to.
so exciting, and POTWASHER set up that victory in just exactly the way he needed to. He went aggressive and defensive, saved the evil points just like he needed to. And I remember like the Leaf Man play set up that leaf, pull up the board, went face, just now I'm evoing the fairy and I'm going.
It's just funny to think about. So a thing that we've touched upon in the past but haven't talked a lot about lately is just setting up for your outs, right? In Take Two, it's one of those formats where you can actually do it a lot easier because you have less cards in your deck. So when you get down to like 10 cards in your deck, what are the cards that I'm most likely to draw? What cards can I draw? Start setting up your plays in the meantime to start playing into those draws. What's the best way I can play most effectively with the cards that I have left in my deck? And POTWASHER did it very well.
Did it very well indeed. Going into draft for the second game, POTWASHER has chosen Swordcraft. You cannot fault him for that.
Seems like the two most popular choices right now: Forestcraft, Swordcraft. Not really a lot of variation from that over the last 2 weeks.
Very, very powerful cards. Bronze and silver cards, specifically in Swordcraft, are quite good.
That's right. Absolutely. As we see that one bronze card filling up the board. Very good stuff.
Yep, Weathered Vanguard gets the Holy Angel, Master Samurai. Ooh, okay. That was a tough choice there.
Genesis of Legend is tough, especially when it's paired with something not so good. It looks like Genesis of Legend will be the choice. Genesis of Legend is just so high value in Take Two. It just makes all of your followers better.
Basically gives your followers free removal action with Bane.
Yeah.
3 separate followers. Very, very potent.
Very good. So good that it has, you know, peeked its head up in rotation. Hasn't really taken over anything yet, but
I remember the first
people
time
like
I
it.
saw High Seas Hero evolve, and it became a 6/6, and I was like, what? I'm sorry?
Excuse me.
I just assumed, like, oh yeah, 3/3. That's nice. They're going with 3/3s this expansion. Okay, it's cool. Did not expect it was going to gain an extra 1/1 on evolve. Crazy.
It's true. And let's take a look at the curve again. I just want to point this out just so you guys can understand maybe a difference between your draft styles and draft styles of the players
Ooh,
that
Moon
we're
and
seeing
Sun.
right now.
That's
Okay.
nice.
It's the card you were talking about. You really like that one.
It's amazing in Take Two.
It's very
Along with
good.
the 2 Weathered Vanguards that POTWASHER has drawn. Very, very strong.
Consistent early game. It's not stacked with one number or the other, 2, 3, or 4. It's even across the board. He wants plays to filter out through the rest of the game. Not a lot of heavy cost cards taken. There's obviously not a lot. If you look at the cards that you can take, there's not a ton you can take. But I remember old thought in Take Two was you build a nice little curve, but then you have enough late game cards to then force through at the end of the game, post Evo points, things like that. But now you don't really need those big followers, especially because there are removal cards like we saw last game that can take care of them.
Especially, yeah, when Weathered Vanguard is always an option. When you're able to, it's a bronze card, and you're able to draw or draft more than one, you can fill up the board consistently. Having big follower, it's, I mean,
It's
is
good.
it better? It's good, but
It's good, but it's slower, right? One ward can stop you, whereas if you fill up the board with a lot of small things and then you pump them or something else, then you just get through a lot more damage. So this is a tough choice because Confront Adversity and Rapier Master are both very good utility cards in the format. Noble Chancellor is fine, not great. But Moon and Sun is excellent because it is a card that has last words, put it back into your hand. Which on a card, basically I don't even care what the card says.
And it has heal.
Yeah, it has
And-
heal
or
and damage. Yeah.
And in Take Two, like banishing effects, you know, maybe. But that Moon and Sun's sticking around no matter what.
The card could honestly read 3 play points, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and put a 1/1 into play. and last words, put it back in your hand, and would be
It
perfectly
would still be
acceptable.
great, yeah. But it's 3
It's
costs, you
better
get a
than that.
2/2. It's amazing.
3
But
costs,
he's-
2/2,
he's
heal
really
1,
giving this
clash.
some thought, yeah.
No, heal 1,
Clash heal 1.
clash heal 1, yeah. Clash deal 1
Clash
on the
deal
3/1
one, yeah.
side, yeah.
This,
He's had a time. I think he took the confront adversity.
I actually did see it. Okay, did you see the curve go up?
Well, see, here's the problem. When in take 2, for whatever reason in the obs client, sometimes you'll see the side pick, but it'll be the other
you're
side.
right. Yeah.
So I'm not really sure that time
Okay.
because all the cards are the same curve.
So we really have no idea.
We really have no idea, but
Fantastic.
that's the good thing about take 2. We'll see it top decked at the right moment.
Yeah,
That
the funny
confront
thing is that
adversity.
players can't hear us.
Yeah, they
They have no idea.
They can't. They secretly can. They hear everything we say.
They've heard everything.
Everything. Yeah,
For
yeah.
the
They have
past,
perfect
for the past,
information.
for the past year.
Yeah. we're just not letting you know that. Yeah, no.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, so in ESSIA chose Shadowcraft, which is another interesting, I think, archetype.
I don't think
too.
we've seen that.
No, we haven't.
No, so
We didn't see
Shadowcraft's
it.
going to be new to us.
And again, like I don't really know how Shadowcraft's going to stack up against Swordcraft in Take 2. I feel like Swordcraft has just been so dominant. It's hard to see something else.
We'll see. I mean, so Shadowcraft has always been this class that doesn't rely on necessarily replacing the stuff just like card for card, right? Like putting more stuff in your hand, that kind of thing. It replaces itself on board,
right.
which is pretty potent.
Which is pretty strong, yeah.
So like you kill one of my followers, I get another follower type of deal. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's pretty tough to deal with when they get rolling, but they
And-
do have to get rolling.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about now the Sarcophagus is such a great card on turn 4 because it has evolved, gets like half stats, but filling up the board with Ghost, and it also has Reanimate too when it evolves.
Yes.
Like that's such a strong card. To
So
take, too.
in rotation, I actually tried to build a deck of just stickiness, right? Like
Yeah.
as much board fill as you can possibly have, and just keep it full all the time. There are a lot of bronze and silver cards in this format that allow you to do that.
just do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
not to mention when you have Cerberus on turn 5 and you can evolve that. Probably not going to see that in Take 2.
Probably
I mean,
not.
that's a really strong card to
Yeah,
take, too.
yeah. I mean, but just a lot of cards that stick to the board, and if you know your opponent's going to be playing this Forestcraft, this Swordcraft game plan of just having a bunch of small followers throughout the entire course of the game, you can kind of get away with just going with value cards that just put small followers back into play throughout the course of the game.
I wonder what the choice was for ESSIA between classes to make a big Shadowcraft.
I mean,
It might have been
Runecraft, Havencraft,
maybe. I mean, but I feel like Rootcraft is a really strong choice as well.
really strong. I think people overvalued it the last time we saw.
Yeah,
But I think it was because there were statistics out. Because these players, they mine statistics like crazy. This is this is why they're one of the best. But Abyss Summoner happened to just come in your drafts quite
Sure.
often. Like we
yeah.
saw 3 of
Yeah, you'd get 3 of them.
multiple times. You
Oh,
don't you don't get that anymore.
So it's definitely okay. Yeah, Runecraft has definitely fallen down on the tier list. But I mean, maybe ESSIA, the preparation for this week, Shadowcraft. I mean, like we've been surprised before.
Again, it could be the meta call like I'm talking
Yeah.
about. If you know your opponents are going to be playing very specific sets of classes, such as Forestcraft and Swordcraft, maybe Shadowcraft, the way he likes to build it, or he knows the card pool well enough, that it can really just be good against these two classes.
Right. I don't know, man. And I was really surprised with the poll results.
I'm still floored,
Yeah.
but POTWASHER is heavily favored. And I'll tell you what, I bet you a lot of our viewers out there
Bear the past,
might
but
even have him
seize the
favored to
future.
go all the way in the World Grand Prix.
Mother,
He's one of those
father,
players that
come
even
on.
the other pro players are like, he's the best.
CRUMSION called him the best player in Pan America.
He did. And for the longest time, we were touting CRUMSION as his success this year has definitely been higher than everyone else's success. Taking down a World Circuit event, winning 10 grand.
The highest points earner.
Highest
the season.
points earner. Yeah, just crushing it all year. And like you were talking about, Sarcophagus already in hand. Poltergeist, another one of those cards. All these cards are value in
Pretty good.
ESSIA's hand.
Not to mention, POTWASHER's and he has Grand Auction, so he has things in turn 1, and he has Ward with the Holy Bear Knight. Okay, Steadfast Angel. Okay, so now he's a follower to play. I think probably just passing him right now.
I love ESSIA's keep too. He's just like, you know what? It's a slow hand, but I've got great Evo targets. I've
Yep.
great clear the board cards in my hand. It's really good stuff here.
Interland Google. I wonder how that card's gonna work. Is it gonna be feasible for ESSIA to get up to 30 shadows?
I think in take 2, yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
Huh.
It's not that it just has a sweet effect when you get later into the game. It also fills your hand with just stuff you can fill the board out with.
Oh yeah.
It's not bad. Build up those shadows.
Not to mention, it's a pretty big follower too.
That's right. Can he get 30 shadows before he actually plays it?
Doubtful.
Yeah.
Doubtful. But again, of course, if someone, it's not like, well, I guess it is like Path's Purgatory, because the amulet can be destroyed, Hinterland can be destroyed.
Sure.
The effect goes away.
follower's a little bit easier to deal with an ambulance in those scenarios.
Yeah, very true. So what's the turn for POTWASHER? How can he best set up his game plan? Throw down the Weathered Vanguard or possibly just the Tycoon this turn.
So
hopefully give the White General something to buff up.
that's the consideration, right? You have White General, you're on the play, you actually do have one of your good 4-drops on the play to force through damage. POTWASHER has to make the decision right now if he wants to be the aggressive player, use all of the cards in his hand to try to end this game early, or if he wants to try his usual game plan and just, you know, value trade and go to the end game and all that kind of good stuff. Grand Auction looks like the play here. Gonna trade up for Genesis of Legend. That was pretty good.
That's really, really good. Definitely getting that down.
Yeah, that makes it so that his 2/2 a lot more likely to stay alive now.
Yes, and it makes every card that ESSIA plays significantly less effective.
This is actually an insane start now for POTWASHER. That auction,
That was crazy. Yeah.
you know, he bid. He made a really nice bid. You know, the affluence of POTWASHER showing through here.
It worked. He
paid
stared
a
down
lot
his
of money.
deck and was like, "Deck, you know what? You're gonna give me something good.
You're gonna give me something good here.
Or else."
That's right. Won the auction, I would say, and now the White General is going to force through White's a bit of action over the course of the next few turns.
I think that was the correct call defense here, putting on the Poltergeist just to get some damage on that ward.
Yeah.
Hopefully being able to clear out.
Sets up for the Evo targets that he has in his hand, any which one he wants to go for. Now it makes the White General a little bit more suspect because you're like, do I really want to use the pump for 2 extra damage here when I know this 2/1's probably going to get eaten by something?
Right.
But I don't know if he really has a choice other than that.
Yeah, the Holy Bear Knight's gonna get eaten no matter what. I think this is just the best play either way because Ward and Bane, I mean, ESSIA's got to evolve and trade into that.
That's right.
Rackham can help deal with that though.
Yeah,
Actually.
Rackham will deal with this even if it does get hit with another Genesis of Legend proc. I think
Right.
POTWASHER, you know, RNG-wise, would really want that Genesis to pop on the White General this turn. Just get more value.
Yeah, that's the other thing with Genesis of Legend. It only gets 100% perfect effect if you have one follower in your setup. Sometimes it's not the best course of action is only having one follower that doesn't have Bane at the end.
That's absolutely true. So POTWASHER here, you know, definitely taking his time with deliberation. What does he want to do? The White General play is actually really hard. White General is one of those cards that you can really get value out of any of your low drops later in the game because it will just add 2 attack to that follower. So you can trade up with it, you can push for lethal when you need to.
Yeah, very true.
But, okay, looks like he isn't going to go with it here. Going to play a Great Sword instead.
Going for the Great Shield, getting more
You messing
defense
with country
on the
folk.
Holy Bear.
I like it. Now,
Okay.
3 defense. He really wanted to play around a lot of the cards that Shadowcraft has. Did a pretty good job at it, too, as a matter of fact. Rackham, I believe, deals 2.
Who's gonna
Deals
be
3.
my
Oh, it does
target?
deal 3.
Does
Okay,
3,
never mind. So played around a lot. Didn't play around
Didn't
the
play around
neutral
the
card.
Rackham.
Yeah, it's hard to play around neutral cards. Rackham will still deal with this. So essentially gets 3 damage in before any combat damage is dealt. Works right around that Bane.
Yeah, not bad, and that's a 5/5.
We won't give him an inch.
I think he won't have a problem. Let's see. Goblin Not Over can do it. With an Evo Orb. Yeah.
Interesting. I think Goblin Mount Ogre, again, you have a 3/1 that you can protect right now. You've got multiple wards to protect it. You can Evo this over the 5/5. Seems like a really good turn.
There's a good chance that one of your wards is going to be getting Bane at the end of your turn. A higher chance than the other one.
Yeah.
And even still, you're still getting Bane.
And you still have White General, so if the protection lasts, White General can keep. Oh man,
That was
the
a
best
nice
target.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best target.
Wow.
Ooh, Undying Resentment. Okay, nice. So ESSIA drawing into a very reliable removal spell there.
ESSIA has that Tartman back in hand again
He
as
does
well.
have that target. Drafted it twice.
He did draft Tartman twice. You know what? Respect. Add respect, ESSIA.
Actually, you know what? The sarcophagus can clear this board. Oh, can it? Let's see. 3 goes.
It can.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
can.
yeah.
Clear the board and reanimate this turn, which is pretty effective.
It's not bad. It's very effective.
I don't know if he has anything to reanimate, though, is the problem.
Yeah, yeah, he only has 2 shadows. One of the followers is Poltergeist and Rackham.
I don't think he has any 2-drops to reanimate.
He doesn't have any 2 drops. 1 drops, no 2 drops. Yeah, he only has 2 shadows, and it's those 2 cards. So he's not getting a reanimate, but
Maybe you still have to throw it in there. I mean,
it gets rid of the Bane, it gets rid of the boards.
Gets rid of the 3-1 that's dealing you damage. You're already at 13. Yeah, looks like he's going to go for it.
Heaven's my workshop.
Pops down the ward. And this, I mean, this ward's a little awkward. He's just using his play points. It's not really effectively blocking anything. But clearing the board. And at least sticking something out there that he can play, you know, big follower behind next turn.
Hopefully. Potwasher is likely to not spend that even. 1-1, and so yeah. He'll likely have some.
Yeah, so he did take the Confront Adversity.
He did.
Interesting. Okay. Not necessarily the best turn to play the Confront Adversity. Not necessarily a bad turn either.
It's not bad.
We won't give him an inch.
Clear out your opponent's ward, make your own, and an extra 1-1 for your trouble.
Get to save an Evo Orb. Yeah. Good.
Potwasher has really good options for later in the game now. Tycoon to draw a bunch of cards. He's got the Vanguard as well, again to fill up the board. ESSIA has some nice cards in hand too, though. Orthrus to clear out a big follower. He's got Undying Resentment also to clear out a big follower. Doesn't have enough shadows to get full use out of Fran just yet. It has big removal, so definitely favors dealing with one big threat after the other instead of filling up the board with smaller followers. Might be able to make it work.
Spins the shadows off the wall. Guess it's
coming
what you gotta do.
I mean, he just wants tempo. His hand's really slow if he doesn't start pushing something to the board. He's already behind in defense, so if he ever really loses tempo again, it's going to be a struggle for him to stay into this game.
I gotta say, I don't think SE is getting up to 30 shadows this game.
No.
Call the Void, Undying Resentment. That's a lot of cards that spin shadows. There's 20 cards left in the deck.
And Rapier Master now. Probably not the play of this turn, but definitely a good late game play at any point. Rapier Master, of course, a 1 play point, 1-1 that gets better every time you have multiples of 2 play points over the board.
Gains Bane, then Ward, then Rush. And then 1-1 when you play for instant. Another 1-1.
Very good. So a card that scales throughout the entire game. Now it's just a choice if Potwasher wants to draw cards here or if he wants to fill up the board with 1-2s. 1-2 is not super effective into this board. But I still think any presence to the board is probably good fighting for the mid-game.
Yeah, you saw SE's face as soon as the Weather Vanguard was thrown down. He did not look happy.
I mean, he played one last game.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Come on, you give and you take.
That's right. That's right. It is a bronze card, too.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bronze card that brings you back, man.
It's true. So now Potwasher just trying to figure out if he should Evo here, save the Evo, what to Evo into. Basically just all the choices.
Thunder.
Choices, man. Yeah, I think Weather Vanguard gets nice value by trading it into there as opposed to revolving with the Heavy Knights.
Right, and if the Tartman trades in, you're happy with it because then you still have a full board. If it trades into any of the 1Xs, then you can easily trade back into it.
Casket was a nice pickup there. Probably wants to save. Frank's probably a great turn. A great play this turn.
Fran's not bad. The problem is you don't have shadows to give the attendant rush.
Yeah, that is the thing.
You get up to 4 shadows, 5 shadows this turn. Undying Resentment plus Casket seems like an okay turn. Hinterland Ghoul might seem a little too slow here. It doesn't deal with enough of the board quick enough.
Do you thirst for blood yet?
You don't removal a card either. Okay. Yeah, just fills up the board here with Fran. Takes off the Weather Vanguard.
Feel like killing yet?
Starman can get a nice value trade. Pretty good.
Well, aren't you something?
So, just playing as much value as you can. ESSIA still has a lot of good removal spells. Is going to use the Evo point this turn.
Okay, yeah.
I'll show you.
So there was potential, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. There was... No. He could only have gotten to 6. That's right. I was thinking you could actually have Evo'd the Fran, but you're going to get the same shadows either way. So, yeah. Couldn't have gotten enough shadows to give that rush. Okay. And now it's, again, a tough place to play Tycoon. Playing card draw here is good, but then you lose the board.
White General can help him trade into that attendant.
Rapier Master is still a great option, but you really want to deal with that X3 first.
Yeah, I think that's a priority.
Raise your blade.
Notice White General saved all the way from early game till right now to let a one-drop trade up. Rapier Master to actually fill out the curve here. Okay.
Just gets the Bane there.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Never mind.
He really wants to draw with Tycoon. He needs to set up a board where he can actually do this. ESSIA with more removal on hand now. Grindy game.
Yeah, this is a really difficult turn for ESSIA. He saved the hinterland rule to play down this turn. With Rapier Master with Bane, it's going to be too easy for POTWASHER to trade with that. He's not really going to gain any value off that card, or any significant value. I think, yeah, he's just going to have to use there. The
I
Call
think
of
he's just
Void.
going to clear board, yeah.
The
Still a
order
good turn
will
to do it.
remain.
You get back to tempo. You kind of want to empty your hand before you play the Hinterland Ghoul, just so you can get as many skeletons as you possibly can.
Yep, that's true. Probably Tycoon.
I think this is a tie. You're facing down at 2-2. You're at 20.
Money makes the world
Got
go
your time.
round.
Is that another Rapier Master?
It is another Rapier Master. He probably got
You
one
got
in the
two?
first draw. Really good.
Baby.
Turn 10 next is going to be a 6-6 with Bane,
Ward.
Ward, and Rush.
Pretty effective.
Same. If you had Latham, it'd have Storm.
That's right.
Divine Retribution in hand for ESSIA.
It's like, all right, you got your value turn. I'm getting my value turn in.
Change your plans.
Skeletons down. Gotta empty the cards in the hand so he doesn't overdraw here.
Yep.
Could be accepting 5 damage here.
Ooh. Okay, that's fine, but I mean, yeah, I saw that and looked at POTWASHER's health total. I was like, oh yeah, he's at 20
He's at
life.
20, yeah. He's not worried right now. Now it's just POTWASHER's fight to try to maintain board while poking as much as he can.
Below a day can clear off the Ghoul for 6. The Ballsy Below a day with the evolve card. That's 5 damage. You can face and save the Tycoon.
I think that feels pretty good. And then you have Rapier Master to kind of follow up on the next play. After, you know, I mean, Hinterland Ghoul is probably the biggest thing that ESSIA is doing right now, hopefully. I mean, that's what you're always thinking. Your opponent played one big follower, you hopefully don't have another one.
And also with the Homebound Mercenary, as POTWASHER can throw that down for enhance 4. And knowing that your opponent just filled up their hand with skeletons, having a follower that heals itself at the end of your turn, very, very effectively dealing with those small followers.
I think I like the Aloade play. Feels good to me. It's the only just straight up removal spell in hand unless you want to play the Rapier Master.
By my flame! By my frost!
It's the spear.
Beautifully.
There we go. So that means you can evolve the Aloade.
This will decide things!
It gets up to a 5-5 and
There are
clear out, just like you said.
Who stand equal
Base
to us.
ESSIA will
I
be
must
left
return
at 6
back to my
defense. Great turn there.
I can't
Really,
lose here.
really solid board.
Yep, this is going to be tough to deal with over time. ESSIA has some good removal spells, has a bunch of 1/1s. Can he deal with this constant pressure?
It's Catalina, so he has a rather strong war battle. It's going to help him out too much in the long run. Considering that Homebound Mercenary is just going to keep healing up after it trades into something. If he's able to deal with this Tycoon with that big follower.
So if you notice, and this is something I've actually noticed from POTWASHER's stream, what he mines essentially for data, right, are cards that each class can potentially have in their deck, and the statistics of them being options.
Yeah.
The cards that he has left in his deck, right? Of course, we talked about that, and what he could potentially draw and what he needs to do with the cards in his hand. And possibly even some insies of ESSIA that he has written down somewhere. Just like, you know, when he likes to make different plays or pushes or things like that. I mean, very, very small amount of that type of information. But but a lot of data he's pouring over while he's playing these games. He's not just actively thinking about what's going on in the game, but everything that could possibly happen.
Yeah, I think with that draw, POTWASHER's 1 off. No. That's 3 damage. Okay. No, and then the 4. Oh.
Ed?
Is that lethal with the Loa Day with the blazing spear? Well, the Blazing
You don't
Spear
have to play
costs 4.
points.
Yeah, you don't have to play points.
I don't mind this though. I mean, just a big follower. You crush face.
Gobby's feeling hungry.
Fill up the board.
I can't
And you're at
lose
1.
here.
You have to deal with every single follower in play to stay alive. And even if you do, Loa Days in hand. I don't think there's any out for this.
No, I don't think. Yeah, even if SEA can't deal with this board, POTWASHER's put himself in a really, really wonderful position. That draw from SEA was nice. He's got ward. He's got another Evo, but free Evo there. But it's not gonna be enough.
Yeah. Essia is just like, is this my life? Am I just gonna lose here? POTWASHER might even things up for the Pan America team.
Oh my gosh.
Things up 2-2.
US of A bringing it home in the first match. I like it.
You know what? Our audience is pretty smart.
They knew, man.
They knew.
Yep, 64%.
It's pretty good. Essie is not a player I like to vote against often, but you know what? POTWASHER might be one of those players.
Yeah, having these votes, it's tough. Trying to decide who's gonna win these matches.
So tough. Both of these players are great. Take-Two's not a format we've seen him play very often, if at all.
True.
But I mean, you just got to go on your gut feeling, right? Like, who do you think is the better player? And that's what these weeks are all about, right? It's the stakes are high. Yes, the figurine might not seem like the most illustrious prize for these
Figurine is
competitors,
awesome,
but first of all, it is.
And
First of all, you're wrong.
First of
Right.
all, you're wrong. Second of all, these players are getting the biggest test this year outside of all the other big events that they've played because they're playing against the other best players with preparation for a new format every single week that they have a week to prepare for, right? So they're getting the hardest test that we can give them before they fly out to Japan and play against all these other top-level competitors
By my frost.
that they've never played against before. They have to think
Right.
on the fly. They have to prepare properly. What we're getting them ready for.
You're too
And here we go.
strong.
POTWASHER's going to take it home.
2-0. Oh my gosh, that's 2 points for Pan American, 2 points for Europe. Evens it out very nicely.
I wish we could get a close-up on just like POTWASHER. You know what I mean? He's just so serious. He's just like,
yeah.
you know, he's like,
It was early morning, you know, he probably, just woken up or whatever. I don't know.
no
what
way,
his sleep schedule's
no way.
like.
That is his focus face.
Oh yeah.
He's posed like the thinker. You know what I mean? He's in it.
He was playing mobile too. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, he actually likes to play mobile.
Oh really?
Yeah, he
Interesting.
prefers it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just
Huh.
because it's the way they practice boot camp wise. Like when they were out here in the hotels at the Contenders Cup. I mean, they're not gonna have. Well, I mean, I guess they could have brought
Could have
computers
brought
with them,
laptops.
Yeah, but no, they're just on the bed, playing games.
Good. I like playing mobily. I mean, because you can't. I mean, like if you get comfortable with it, then because you're playing just wherever you're at, you play more than probably just sitting down with the mouse and keypad. It's just like kind of where you're comfortable.
As a matter of fact, when I was at the last World Circuit event, Gary Thompson was like, "It's the only game that I play when I'm out because it's a mobile game. Because I like card games. It's a
Yeah.
mobile game. I can play it wherever.
Just right there.
It's just right there,
Yeah.
and it's great."
Yeah, it's essentially the same experience playing with the PC. Like not much has changed, but you're just using your finger instead of the mouse.
I said Gary. His name's Jerry. My bad, Jerry. In any case,
We apologize.
we
on
apologize.
behalf-
Yeah. In behalf of me, scum. But yeah, I think it being a mobile game just makes it super accessible. You can practice wherever you are, and like you said, it's a comfort thing, right? We saw, some of our pro players play in their pajamas.
Yeah.
They play wherever, right? They play on the couch, they play in their bed, they
Oh, yeah,
play
that's
wherever.
that's a great thing about this game, man. You can literally do anything you want when you're playing.
Anything you want.
Very little stipulation. Okay, so switching gears a little bit.
Yes.
Unlimited now is coming up next, and we haven't seen much of Unlimited. I mean, MENSOU and POTWASHER played last week, but
Even last week, POTWASHER was like, I'm still not really sure what I want to do with Unlimited, and it's kind of like new, and I'm still preparing in many different ways. So Unlimited's tough because it's completely different.
It's the Wild West. We say that a lot, but I mean, like we'll take a look at the deck list in just a little bit. But players have brought completely different things than they brought last week.
Yeah, completely different.
And we're not seeing much of Forestcraft yet, unfortunately, except outside of Take-Two. Take-Two doesn't really count.
I think Forestcraft will probably be appearing at the World Grand Prix in
Little bit,
Unlimited in some fashion, especially from the Japanese players. They love playing combo. There's a little bit of combo today, though.
So, next match, SPRAYQUAZA versus HISHIRO in Unlimited. Exclamation point, vote HISHIRO or exclamation point vote SPRAYQUAZA for who you think's
Yeah.
going to win.
Excited to see who actually gets the vote this time, because both of these players were in, I believe, the 30% range or less last week for the
Right,
total
yeah.
overall votes. But I'm telling you, folks, you guys are going to keep voting against HISHIRO, and you're going to keep being wrong. I don't know, dude. HISHIRO,
Dude, what we said last week, I think we have to keep with it. Whatever he does is the truth.
it's the truth. So far,
Yeah.
he has done no wrong since we've seen him. He broke out in the final season of this year and hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
He's just been winning.
And looking at these players' decks, I mean, HISHIRO chose to bring City of Gold, Havencraft, Daria, Mid-Range Shadow. Mid-Range Shadow, of course, very, very popular in Unlimited, but Daria in City. Okay, so City of Gold is a very, very consistent deck.
Yes.
You're always going to have City of Gold on
It
too.
always does the same thing. You have to
Yes.
know how to beat it, essentially. There can be more powerful draws and less powerful draws, but it will essentially do the same thing. City of Gold being an amulet that will just come out when you have 2 play points. It invokes for free. And then you play an amulet-style game plan where you're just drawing cards and trying to push damage with your Storm
That's
followers.
right. Let's go ahead and take a look at that list right now. Okay, so he's running 3 Fount of Angels and no Death Sentence. Death Sentence is a very powerful card, but with a Fount of Angels, of course, you have
It's
card draw and more
curved
damage.
consideration. If you notice this deck, there's nothing in it that costs more than 3. It's literally just a tempo deck that burns through its amulets as fast as it can so that it can draw cards, push damage, and remove cards on the opposing side of
And
the
the
field.
one of Craving Splendor, I love that choice. It's so great.
It's cool. It's a defensive card. It's an offensive card. You can play it with one of your Holy Mages. You can play it with one of your Evolved Followers when they storm and just push for more damage. Or it can be a removal spell. It's not a bad choice.
Let's take a look at SPRAYQUAZA's Control Swordcraft list.
Excuse me?
This is the last thing that I was
Excuse me?
expecting. There's 3 Israfils, 2 Lucifers, Roland, Front Guard General, Sahak Wheels. Where has this deck
Do
been
you
all my
people
life?
see this deck right now? I have not seen this deck played by anyone so far. Lucifer, Israfil, they're all back.
They're all back, man, just haunting me from my dreams. I thought we were done, but
We're ready to go.
oh man, I'm really excited to see some
That's
Sahak
right.
Wheel Israfil.
Yeah,
action.
filling things out though, Aggro Dragon, Mid-Range Forest Craft, Daria, all decks we've seen before, all decks that have been tested. So we're really going to see who can push the ball forward here with their kind of
Time to shine,
off-the-wall
Daria.
decks, right?
Off the wall, but very consistent. I feel like very well performed for all of these players. Unlimited, man, you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever
These
you
are
want.
all about comfort picks. HISHIRO really wanted to bring
A
Daria.
lot of players think this is like, I can't really prepare for this very well, yada yada. I feel like this format might actually be the most skill-intensive format of all of them going into the World Grand Prix, because every individual player has their own take on the most powerful things that you can do in the old format, and there are a vast
Yes.
number of choices.
There's simply more things to do.
Yeah.
There's more options. There's more cards. It's so very difficult to navigate
It's
those
so
waters.
very difficult, and you don't have time to prepare for every deck choice there is. You cannot fit into your deck every reactable card to every single type of archetype out there, so you just have to kind of pick a game plan and just understand what you're doing with it. Go power heavy, understand your deck, understand how to play, at least understand the flow of how to play against all the other decks out there.
And HISHIRO brought Daria and came into just the primo al dente draw there. He had the Angelic Snipe followed by the Kaleidoscopic Glow, and the Bellin is the target with it. And Daria in his hand, of course, getting ticked down. Oh, okay.
This
All
is
right.
good. We never got to play old Daria with Magic Owl, but let me tell you, folks, it's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
They did cross over at one point, but I mean, like, when Daria first came about, we didn't have anything as powerful as Magic Owl, right?
Right.
Now you can just force through your deck. You can just go crazy. You can play super spell heavy. I believe HISHIRO's deck is the enchanted sword version, so we're going to see it be a lot more spell heavy,
That's right. Yep.
as opposed to the more follower heavy with Oglers and all of that stuff. But still a very strong deck.
Okay, turn 4 for HISHIRO. He has a Magic Owl and he has Wind Blast as well. I feel like both of those cards this turn could be very, very effective. Getting the Fate's Hands down even more, but again, he's got 2 Darias in his hand, so he's gonna get rid of one of them, which is unfortunate. But that's
Unfortunate.
those are the dice you roll when you play this deck, man.
And shine.
Right, so Daria, as you can read on the screen right now, gets reduced its cost whenever you play spells or whenever you evolve Magic Owls, reduces its cost by 2 because of the spell boosting. When you play it, it will dump your hand, banish everything, you redraw 5 cards, and spell boost everything 5 times. So basically, once the engine starts rolling, you just keep playing out your hand, and you hope to redraw Darias with your Darias. In the same hand, of course, you'll lose one.
That draw there for SPRAYQUAZA. Feeling Really, really happy about that.
Was good. He doesn't even need to necessarily evo this turn, but will. He's like, you know what? I'm keeping my board. And if you want to trade into anything, it's going to hurt.
This is slightly less effective against Runecraft, considering, you know, spell removal is what it is.
It is, but wide boards against Daria are pretty tough for Daria to deal with because they're not playing those wide board removals.
This is going to be a very, very powerful turn.
Yeah, actually using the Fate's Hand here. Interesting. To get as much value. Oh,
Both
no.
Fates. Oh, no. He used both Fate's hands.
Ugh.
That was so risky, Hishiro, and it did not.
It's the truth.
You're right.
It's the truth.
You're right. It's the truth.
It's what you're supposed to do.
It's what you're absolutely supposed to do. Everybody take notes. This is Hishiro we're talking about.
That's right. So from Team Revelation, of course, let's get back on track with who these players are. SPRAYQUAZA, Space Station Gaming, of course, newly acquired by them at the end of the season. Just two incredible players, right? SPRAYQUAZA just kind of bamboozled everybody at the Contenders Cup. He's just like, I'm gonna play whatever I want to beat everybody.
Yeah, won a lot. Oh yeah.
Yeah, very good player. And Hishiro, of course, like we were talking about, just this new guy on the block, just beating everybody up.
Oh yeah, man. Beat CRUMSION last week and all the best players in Europe.
And shine.
Made it the Triforce of French players.
The French players, yeah.
Right.
Hishiro, I want to believe in you, man, but making it hard. That was
drawing into
unlucky
multiple
and
Darias.
risky.
Yeah, but the redraw was not bad. He does have an enchanted sword. He does have a Chimera to fight back to the board. No storm damage though in hand. Like nothing really to get this game moving in his favor, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Chimera is just a little bit ineffective with this board. Man.
He can make a really big follower, but making one really big follower
In
against
Shadow
Shadow
Grab.
is not really where you want to be.
Now, especially next turn with the Demon Lord Ektar in hand for SPRAYQUAZA. I love saying that name.
Yeah, Ektar. I love that they readjusted that card.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so great.
There's so many people that are so salty about it, right? They're just like, but it was so good.
Yes, it was.
And then you made it worse, and it was like cool. And then you made it so good again. Why are you doing this? I'll tell you what, it was great.
Oh, it's amazing.
Because Unlimited is so powerful, you need to have effects like this in Unlimited in order to compete.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so a little bit more here. So Hishiro is playing a few followers in his deck. We do see it overdrawn.
Can he clear the board?
Yeah, he can clear the board, and he can play to the board a little bit. Unfortunately, this is all of his resources. Again, we know that he has no Darias left. Two Fate's Hands have already been used.
17 cards left in his deck, next to SPRAYQUAZA's 29.
Yeah. And a lot of the good cards already gone. I believe this is the second Chimera. He had to throw one away. Choosing not to Enchanted Sword and push tempo this turn.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. Okay, let's see. Fran here.
This is rough.
Is pretty good. But
Fran's good here.
Ektar's great.
I think Ektar's really good here. I mean,
I don't think it's the most effective board. Certainly not the most effective board for an extra turn.
I kind of like just Cerberus, Evo, Cerberus, and pass, leaving one of your board spaces open, just in case, so that you can play the Ektar to follow it up. But this works too. This works if you think your opponent is going to remove one of your followers, and if they don't, you know, sure, whatever.
More power to you. Yeah.
Push a bunch of damage. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is not a lethal setup in play. So Hishiro technically doesn't have to play anything this turn, and he'll still live for another. But what is he playing for? I don't believe his hand is actually winnable anymore.
Yeah, I think losing the 3 Darias that quickly was bad.
It hurts.
It was bad.
Honestly, the 3 Darias you can lose as long as it sets you up with a hand that can do something. Unfortunately, the hand does not. So Hishiro, unfortunately, will fall down the combo drain this game.
The thing about Daria, though, it's only more effective in a best-of-5 because that's simply more chances you get to play the deck.
Of course, yeah. I like this format. This, again, will be the format that players will be playing in the World Grand Prix. There won't be any bans. You're just going to have to win with your decks, and I feel like that's a really cool thing to do when you're playing against the best people. You have to be able to bring all of your decks, win with all of them, and show everybody who's boss.
Boss. Going into game 2, SPRAYQUAZA took off that victory. Nice with the mid-shadow list. We'll see if Hishiro wants to give his Daria list another chance. I feel like that's probably a great choice. Just press the reset button.
Yeah. Along with it, so here we go. All right, so Swordcraft versus Havencraft. So this is a matchup that's very interesting. Aggro Swordcraft has a phenomenal time against this Havencraft deck.
Oh, yes.
Control Swordcraft? No idea.
No idea, man.
Might be just a little too slow for this Havencraft
There
deck.
are a lot of wards in Control Sword. He has Frontline General, he has Dark Saber Melissa, not to mention Dragon Knights, and that can be really, really hard for your Holy Mage to deal with. I mean, then again, but he doesn't have Death Sentence.
I mean, I don't...
He's got Heretical Inquiry and Morier and everything like that.
We'll see. I don't know. This matchup feels pretty good to me in favor of Havencraft, but we'll see. We'll see. I can't doubt SPRAYQUAZA.
I think SPRAYQUAZA's got a fighting chance. I think
he
got a
likes
chance.
Swordcraft.
Yes.
He built his Control Swordcraft for this format. I know IS Senpai will be very happy about this list. This is essentially the list that he's loved to play in Swordcraft for forever. Lucifer, of course, being his favorite card.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
Nice. It's the second City of Gold.
Super important stuff here. So second City of Gold, why is that important? Because each City of Gold in play reduces Amulet countdown by 1 when you play the Amulet. If you have 2 in play, it pretty much insta-pops everything in the deck.
Yeah, you fill your deck up with amulets that cost 1 or 2, and then you get really strong followers or really strong effects for incredibly cheap.
That's right.
Don't get too
And City of Gold having the invocation effect at the end of your turn if you have 2 play points remaining. Summon it from your deck if you don't already have the City of Gold in play.
That's right. So essentially what you're trying to do optimally every game is keep one in your hand, summon one out on turn 2. If one's already in play, it won't summon one out of your deck, but if you don't have one in play and 2 play points at the end of your turn, it will.
Right. Shiro has a really great setup here to just throw down the second City of Gold.
Yeah, the third City of Gold, not necessary.
No.
You don't need the third one.
You don't need it. It's just board. Then board space is a huge concern. Board space is already a huge concern. You only have 3 spots.
Interesting choice here is actually not going to clear the...
I don't think he has to. I think he's trying to push as much damage as he can.
He doesn't have to. I guess you're right. Yeah, adding a little bit of extra value, not huge, but adding goblets to your opponent's hand when you're trying to play a rushdown deck can be problematic.
Yeah, he could have played Heretical Inquired, but I guess he wanted to go for a little bit more.
I mean, he definitely wants to get more value out of these Forbidden Rituals and things like that, I understand, but any heal you can give Swordcraft could give them a potent, you know, reaction to what you're trying to do, especially when you're playing a bunch of wards. Not a huge fan of letting this live, but if it doesn't get the goblet, you're fine.
I'll show you why
Roland is back, baby.
Roland is back. You know what? This could be really strong
by the
if
sun's rays.
SPRAYQUAZA is able to make it that far.
Never mind, SPRAYQUAZA is not going to try to get value with this. Wants to try to be aggressive with it. Is going to get punished by cards like Forbidden Ritual.
Yeah. Let's see, Forbidden Ritual, and then maybe just the Jewel Priestess or the Seal Tome for the Falcon.
Yeah, I don't mind any of the plays here. You can go with Jewel Priestess is awesome in this deck because it gives you 1-cost amulets that either draw you 2 cards or drain for 2.
So good.
It's so good.
Right. Poll results 61% for SPRAYQUAZA.
All the hate for Hishiro every week. So SPRAYQUAZA, I believe, had the worst, right, response for him last week when he played against ESSIA.
Yeah.
Hishiro still bringing up the rear in voter confidence here.
I thought that was gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
They favor ESSIA. They don't favor the other 2 Frenchmen.
SPRAYQUAZA is running Seraphic Blade, so that's a really nice pick there. Of course, Shiro does have another City of Gold right in his hand.
It's true. Yeah, so Seraphic Blade is one of those cards, and I've talked to actually a lot of people, even on Twitter when I posted this Havencraft list. People are like, you know, I like to play cards that remove the City of Golds, and I'm like, but they get them for free if they just pass the turn.
Yeah.
You might slow their tempo down for a turn, but you're also slowing your own tempo down for a turn. So the only thing that you really gain is getting an extra play point before things like really go crazy.
You're not giving yourself a significant out against the deck.
Right.
It's
It's not something that stops them.
It's delaying what's already going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, if you can destroy all the City of Gold, great.
Yeah,
But
all 3 of them, sure. But like, if you're spending time destroying all 3 of their City of Golds, then you're not really doing anything else.
That's true.
But in any case, back to the game. Hishiro to start using his Storm options here.
You were done
Falcons on the field. Very strong cards.
That's right. And if you guys do decide to pick this Havencraft list up, the one thing to be watchful with this deck is how you use your Evo points, because using your Evo points in an aggressive deck that doesn't keep its followers around for very long, very hard to actually figure out what you need to be doing to maximize your damage over the course of the game. But I believe this choice was, I really hope this one stays in play so I can pump it, but also forcing your opponent to use an Evo so that he can play possibly double bird next turn and push for a lot more damage. Use the last Evo point here from SPRAYQUAZA.
Fortunately, Dark, Saber, Melissa, with resistance to target effects.
Gonna get blown up.
Gonna get blown up, man.
Gonna get blown up. Forbidden Ritual, so strong.
Oh, yeah.
Really good stuff here. And I believe he's only going to play one of the Falcons here and double pump it with the font just so that he can draw a bunch of cards.
Yep, that's true. Still maintaining another Sacred Teachings in his hand.
So we can push for 4 damage this turn. But I think you're right. Going into this end game, a lot of wards coming up.
One crutch I have seen with the City of Gold deck, and Hishiro's not having this problem, he's doing it performing, is that a lot of the cards in the deck only draw you things or set up for your board. Like there you have 6 ways to get
Well,
Falcons.
let me pause you right there.
Okay.
So your cards only draw you cards,
And you can
or set up the.
you can end up with hands where you only have cards that draw
No,
you
I
more
know,
cards.
I know. I just thought that was.
That's not
funny.
what That's not what happened. That's not what's happening to Hishiro right
yeah,
now.
yeah. You can. It's true. Where you just filter basically all of the cards in your hand and you just get more filter. Absolutely, that's possible. But let me tell you, in card games, drawing cards and playing to the board,
No,
that's good
very,
stuff.
Very, very strong. Yeah. We wrote the book on the rules of Shadowverse, my
It's
friend.
true.
What's
It's true.
the first rule? No, the second rule.
You gotta
Draw
play
the cards in your deck.
You gotta draw the cards in your
Gotta
deck.
draw cards?
Yeah, you gotta play the cards in your deck, and you gotta play the cards in your hand
Yeah.
first of all. Yeah, and if you can from your deck, like City of
Oh
Gold
yeah,
can,
with Floros.
then you're cheating.
Then
That's
you're-
like rule 1.5. That's like the Harry Potter rule, right?
That's rule 1.5.
That's the rule that if you can do it, you definitely should, but you have to be a part of a very special school
Oh
for
yeah,
that,
you have
know?
to have the third eye.
Yeah, you gotta have the third eye to do that, and then of course rule 2, draw the cards in your deck. If you can do both of those at the same time all game, it feels pretty good.
Oh yes.
This one's for you.
All right, so SPRAYQUAZA going for card draw here as opposed to playing down a big ward.
Even your bones will burn.
He does heal this
I
turn
think,
though.
I think he kind of.
Lovely day
I
for
think the
a
front guy
practice
general's
run.
not helping him out that much.
So this does open the door. Is there a potential lethal here? So if, for whatever reason, there was another 3/4, you evo it to 5, you Craving Splendor, that's only 9 damage, and that would use up 6 play points. But you'd have
And
2
then
play points left over for another bird.
And I don't think Hishiro has any more founts in his deck.
No.
Small.
So SPRAYQUAZA did open up a lethal potential this turn, but Hishiro does not have it by not playing the ward this turn. The third Forbidden Ritual was a pretty good pickup here.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah.
Doesn't use his play points as effectively, but it does clear most of this board. It does leave the frontline Cavalier behind, though. So potentially just could
that's true.
use the Black Inscription this turn, follow it up with the Forbidden Ritual next turn.
You do take off more damage by taking off. And you
I
take
think
off
it's
the
mostly
healing
about
as
the
well.
heal. Yeah, the heal is
that's-
what you really want to defend
That is
against here.
Israfil
is
back, baby.
There could be
Roland's back,
Lucifer
too.
off the top. Lucifer would break this game open. I think Israfil.
Yeah.
I mean, if he draws into Lucifer right now, lose my freaking mind.
Hishiro has been saving on to the heretical inquiries quite some time.
Yeah, remove the Lucifer, but it still heals for a boatload.
Yeah.
He's drawing cards with that. Very interesting. I don't know if I can agree with drawing cards here. I think you need to save all of that for damage.
Hey.
Okay, you're right.
It's the truth.
All right.
He was-
Oh, he did it!
No way!
He did it! He didn't even play it.
Nice.
Man,
That was
I'm
pretty
so
good.
sad right now. He drew it, didn't play it. I'm mad about it. Oh,
On the Roland.
he drew the Lucifer.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I guess that's true. You know what? It's safer to play the ward. He didn't last turn.
Okay. Can Hishiro? Oh, yeah, with
Prayer bestows courage.
I would have played the Lucifer 100%.
finish.
Put a 14.
Play the Roland.
You're not dead.
Yeah.
You're not dead.
You're not dead. You can play it next turn.
No. Now it can't. It's lost forever.
This
He has Durandal, so I mean, it definitely slows down Hishiro's plan.
It does. Yeah, it was a good option to set up. Once you see a Holy Mage, look how fast these grow, right? If everything in your deck cycles, you know, to the next card as you play it, then you're doing pretty good. Turns out the drawing cards was actually pretty effective because he drew into more attacking followers here.
I'm not saying card draw's not effective. It's obviously very good. Yeah, I don't think SPRAYQUAZA has a way out of this one.
Yeah, all the ward and all the heal in the world, all the king's men. Can't put you back together again when your opponent plays a bunch of Holy Mages.
Yeah, that's true.
Even late game, Holy Mages grow very fast. That's the power of this deck. You never run out of plays. You always do things. You're always drawing cards.
Very high defense, high attack total, ambush follow.
Look at the cards left in the decks. 12 to 24 cards. An extra 12 cards have been drawn by Hishiro this game.
Right before our eyes.
He's going to play out as many wards as he possibly can.
I think with that, though, oh, wait, okay, huh. Is that, I think that's just...
I think it's, yeah.
Yeah,
it's over on
board.
board.
It's over on board. Nice switching Mourier and
He can play this anyway he wants to. Shiro just nudging. He's like, you know, however it happens, you know, we'll make it work. He's just trolling.
At that point, you're just dragging your finger across the screen.
He's just trolling right now. He could win this
with
the Black
strong
Scripture.
deck City of Gold is.
I think definitely one of the best decks, and
Easily,
you don't have to play it as the aggressive version. You can also play it as defensive version, like we saw MENSOU do last week. I think Seraph's still a little too slow for the format, just like I think this Control Sword deck, as cool as it is, I think might be a little too slow for this format.
I don't know. He's going up. Yeah, he is going up against Mid Shadow and Daria still.
It's true. We'll see. Control Sword can be very good against Daria. So Daria is one of those decks that if it runs out of steam, it can lose. If you also get over the hump, right? If you can deal with one big board that they produce, and then you can play that Lucifer, play that Israfil, and just heal above the maximum amount of damage that the deck can deal.
Front Guard General is very different.
Yeah, absolutely. And these decks don't play Dance of Death anymore. They don't play any of these like big removal spells. They just try to get it done with their early combo.
Let me take you to the underworld.
SPRAYQUAZA moving over to his aggro dragon list. Of course, uses plenty of the Disdain cards, but ends the top of the curve with Forte and Galmu.
That's right. No Inas in his aggro dragon deck.
No Inas, yeah. Just Hippogriff.
0.
Yeah.
Interesting choice there. I believe Hishiro is running one Atomy and one Deathly Tyrant in his deck, so he's got a little mix of some cool stuff.
He's got the chance to high roll, but he's not totally relying upon it. I like that.
I mean, again, when you play Skull Rings in your deck, put an Atomy in there, you know.
Servant of Disdain is so very good against 1/3. Oh my gosh.
So very good against Shadow in general. Yeah, especially in Unlimited because they have the Prince Catacomb things going on. They have Lurching Corpses. A lot more 1/2s than they would.
Here's a question for you I don't know the answer to. If you were to trade the Servant of Disdain into a Lurching Corpse, would Servant of Disdain's effect activate, or would it be destroyed before it's activated? I don't know the answer to that.
It's a clash effect.
Yeah. No. It's whenever this follower is damaged.
I guess that's true. That's not a clash effect.
Oh,
that's
but
an
when
activated attack. Or an activated attack. So, last words would happen. They would happen at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know which takes precedence.
I'm sure chat knows.
I'll be home soon.
Some people know.
Yeah.
People know. Somebody knows.
I want to say yes, but I also want to say
yes to what?
No.
Probably, but also probably not.
Yeah, probably. Also probably not. Yeah, some of the functions of the game, you know, it could happen first in. You know what I mean? Like because the servant was in play first, maybe that takes precedence. Maybe last words takes precedence. I don't know. It doesn't matter this game.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find
if it matters. All right, so filling up the board. The hand a little slow from SPRAYQUAZA here. Not a lot of his Storm option, but he does have double Galmu in hand. Pretty powerful against Shadowcraft.
Especially when you have Evil Orbs to spin.
Playtime starts now. Hush, little baby.
Grace very good.
Don't say
I love you,
words.
Another Lady Grey.
Pretty good.
Grace for days, man.
Yeah, Graze for days. When you can chain reanimate cards into reanimate cards, it feels pretty good. Essentially, how you beat this aggro dragon deck is you try to flood against it, right? You don't ever let it maintain the board, because if they get that early damage in, just like most aggro decks, they can just finish you off with their Storm followers. But if you don't let them get any early damage in, they have to beat you with Storm Followers and some combination of Galmutes.
Now, I know that everything HISHIRO does is the truth. He's the Oracle. But I think it was a little overzealous that he threw down the Lurching Corpse there when there was a 2-drop remaining on the side for SPRAYQUAZAs. Because SPRAYQUAZA just traded right into the Lurching Corpse, played the Galmute, cleared the board.
That's true.
And he wasn't left with a way to clear off the Galmute entirely reliable.
So using the last Evo point here to clear the Galmute, doesn't have any Evo points left, but does have a follow-up Death's Breath and does have an Ektar in hand. And essentially, if he ever wants to, he can play that Prince Catacomb down to ensure that something good happens to that Ektar. But another Galmute will be played.
Another Galmute.
Good
stuff here. Clear the board.
Wait one turn that Ivory Dragon's going to draw you a card.
We'll do it, absolutely. Always get card draw when you need to draw into you know, your Storm Followers late in the game. So good option to. Plus, you can do it alongside of a Forte, right?
Oh yeah.
Forte, one of those cards that wants you to be at 7 play points, but only costs 6.
Thinking about this turn. You got to take off the Galmute.
100% you got to kill it.
Yeah, especially with Death's Breath, the zombies only having 2. I mean, he could destroy it with Ektar, but no. I think Fran's probably the best play this turn.
I think probably Skullring Fran this turn.
Okay.
Feels pretty good to me. That way you at least can set up for Ektar if you need to. You can set up for a big Death's Breath. You can set up for Prince Catacomb. There's a lot of things you can do. You've already seen 2 Galmutes, so the odds of your 1/1s going away pretty low. I mean, he could just play full con. Oh, he's going to go with the Ektar here.
Okay. So the thinking there, I guess you really wanted to save Fran for a much more, I guess, 2 followers on board that Fran could take off.
This isn't bad either. I mean, this installs a big follower down to the board. This does set up for a pretty good, you know, just full board after full board with 1 big follower to kind of beat the nuisance.
Right.
Try to catch up in the game. And I think that's what HISHIRO was thinking. I need to close this game out sooner than later because if I allow my opponent to draw into their storm options, I'm just going to lose pretty quickly here, so I can't allow that.
Selena Force is amazing here with that Evo Orb remaining.
Yep, can ping the Ektar, use the Whisper to clear it out, and then Evo over the 2/2.
Play points you can throw down.
Never
Down
wake
in
again.
Ayala, the original Ayala. Yeah, the OG.
Or probably the Aficionado, just fill up the board a little bit more.
Yeah, probably.
It's interesting to see the old Ayala in this deck. I've seen a lot of the new Golden Ayala in these decks.
Yeah, he runs both.
Yeah. But yeah, not often do we see the 3 play point 2/2, just not huge.
If I play Ektar, I win. If I play Ektar, I win.
If I play 3 Ektar, I win?
No, it's just Ektar.
Is it just Ektar?
It just said if I play Ektar, I win. He played Ektar, and I guess that means he's gonna win.
So, I mean, he's trying to spread the truth even more right now.
Teach us your ways, my friend. We are listening.
We're going to need confirmation. I think that said 3 Ektar.
No.
My eyes could have been deceiving me.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Didn't see it?
I just saw it was an E. I saw an E.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, so board is out for SPRAYQUAZA. HISHIRO to answer here. Doesn't have 6 shadows to get full use out of that Death's Breath right now. Doesn't have 6 shadows to get full use out of that Fran right now. As a matter of fact, he's 1 away from that.
That's true.
So what is the best play here? I mean, he can go for a Skull Ring Prince Catacomb turn with a Soul Conversion.
Well, he could get 5 shadows for the Fran. Fran has 5 shadows, right? The Fran's attendant. I believe it's 5 shadows.
We're just debating about everything. I think it's 6.
I think it's 5.
If it's 5, he can do it.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can play Fran and then the spell and the Fran. Yeah, would be the 2 shadows he needs. Maybe it is 6. Maybe it's 5. Probably.
It's like 500
Probably
million things to remember on every one of these cards in this game because they have multiple abilities.
Oh yeah. When you're playing, it's easy. You can just like click on it.
Yeah.
You hiding inside?
Filling up the board with Prince Catacomb.
I
Now,
like
that's a
this.
great turn.
Yeah, set up. You want to build up shadows as well for this Death's Breath to be really good. Death's Breath is one of the most potent tools against the Storm deck just because you get free wards from it. You can also help him clear the board to make way for those wards. So really good option there. Did draw into the Forte.
So you can trade the Dragon Whelp, and then it'll ping off another one of the skeletons.
I don't think you play the board trade game. I think you just do everything face here.
Face game.
You play the face game. You let your opponent trade board because if you trade board,
You're right.
it doesn't
You're
do
right.
anything
Yeah.
realistically. They still are left with followers in play that can be used with Ektar. You're still at 19, so you're not in lethal range. I don't like any trading here.
Agreed.
That was a rule
Agreed.
you had to learn the hard way back in the day when mid shadow was really good. If they play Prince Catacomb, you stay away. You let them do all the trading for themselves.
And
it
you
kind of
just go
stinks.
over that,
You just try to play over it. Now, of course, if you're playing the mid shadow mirror, maybe then you play back into it. But even then, generally speaking, if you didn't have a Prince Catacomb of your own, you just let him be.
The bones embrace me.
So is there anything to do here is the question. He's got to make room for the Death's Breath. Again, another reason to not trade for your opponent.
Yep.
Let them have their full board.
Let them make the decisions. Give them opportunities to make mistakes.
And possibly not even give them room to play the Death's Breath. But man, does that open anything up that Atomy? So you can play Skull Beast after running these two 1/1s in, play the Atomy, and then finish it off with a Death's Breath. That Atomy was an insane draw.
Wow.
Especially with the Skull Beast, so you can still play your Death's Breath afterwards.
Wow, not to mention you'll get a 2-drop from...
That was gross!
That was insane. That was perfect.
That was so good!
Easy next time.
If Hishiro plays Ektar, he wins.
He's got to make a play, though. Is he going to do it? Does he see it? He's only got so much time.
Oh, no. Okay,
If he plays this, this is no good.
He can still Death's Breath.
He can still Death's Breath, but then he loses out on the Atomy to help him push for lethal soon. He missed it.
Could have had Atomy instead of that skeleton.
He could have had Atomy instead of a skeleton.
Then he wouldn't have his... It's the truth.
Okay, yeah, it's the truth. You're right.
Hear the dragons roar.
Oh, man. I'll just put it this way. Whenever I see Atomy, my first thought is, how do I get this freaking thing on the board? This thing's a monster.
How do I do
It is an 8/8. It could have popped the skull ring so that follower would basically have
Could have been a Lady Grey, could have been heal,
yeah, it could have been heal, and it can attack next turn, whereas the one that will come out will not be able to. Oh. I saw a Lucifer drawn, it wasn't played.
I know.
I see an Atomy drawn, it wasn't played. What are you people doing to me?
Take a breath. Take your medication.
Okay. All right.
You won't even be able to tremble.
Gotta get back to my meditative state. Okay, we're calm again. Everything's good.
Yes, it is.
All right, so Disdainful Rending drawn can take care of one of these wards pretty effectively.
SPRAYQUAZA does not want to trade in this Forte.
There's no way to get the damage in.
There's no way to get it in.
Just shy. I don't think he's gonna trade this Forte. I don't.
I think you just leave Forte up.
Leave Forte up. You force your opponent to have an answer to it. No rending this turn, though. I'm not a huge fan of that either. Not clearing out the wards when you have a chance to feels pretty rough.
Okay, reanimates another zombie. Not the best.
So now Atomy cannot be the play because you need these wards to stick around.
He has Fran, so he can get rid of the Forte. But board space is an issue. I think he has to...
Maybe you do. Maybe you just have to clear the board as much as you can. You don't care about the wards. One will survive because you can run one of the wards into a small follower. Clear as much of the board as you can. Definitely going to have enough shadows to make Fran's attend at something. But...
Okay, so the best thing that Hishiro can do, if SPRAYQUAZA draws Forte, I think that might just be it, even if Hishiro leaves up one ward. Considering the Disdainful Rending that is SPRAYQUAZA saved in his hand.
And I believe he will have at least one follower left over this turn. Just one, though, which is all he needs to use that rending.
You follow behind.
No, yeah, it doesn't matter if it has one defense or not. As long as it's alive, it will be fine.
I am Belinus the Shining.
Oh, but he can use Fran's Curse on the Belinus. I didn't see
okay.
that. That was great.
Why he's here and we're not.
Yep.
All right,
That
so
was
clears
nice.
the entire board. Let's see, but he can still do it if he plays the IL in hand. So it's still
4
open.
and then 6, yeah.
That's not it.
That's not it.
He still has time, though. Game's
Yeah.
not over
He
yet.
has 19 defense.
This is a pretty good card to draw,
That
though.
was great. Yeah, you can use the Serpent, play the Serpent Drake, Disdainful Rending onto the Fran's Attendant, or maybe the Ward. Just get that
Most
off.
likely the ward. Yeah. And then you get an extra free 3/2 to pop out of it.
Okay. Okay.
Down to the wire. If he draws Ektar, he wins. That's not true, actually. That's not enough damage, I don't believe. 2, 7, 8, plus 8, only 16 damage. Yep, not quite lethal.
It's only 16 damage.
It's only 16 damage. It's not lethal. I do think that he would have had a better chance to win, and I'm talking about HISHIRO now. If he did make that Atomy play, it would have sped up the clock quite substantially.
Atomy's not doing anything in his hand right now.
It is.
He's not going to play it anytime
Probably
soon.
not going to do anything unless this board gets removed, which it's not going to. But yeah, the clock is super important because as we've been talking about, every extra card draw could be just lethal for SPRAYQUAZA at this point.
Yeah.
One more Storm Follower. He's not playing any Ainas, though. He's playing 0 Ainas.
He only has 6 options for this.
So he only has 2 Fortes that can potentially win this immediately here.
He didn't go, I guess he wanted, okay, he didn't go for the enhanced Serpent Drake.
Wanted to go wide.
Wanted to go wider. Okay.
Nothing wrong with this. Again, one big follower against Shadowcraft isn't really the bee's knees. Looking for that Ektar. Finds that Ektar. Pretty good. So now if he wants to get more value, he can trade in the Skull Beast and then play the other Skull Beast into Ektar and get that to have rush as well. Yep. Or he can just push as much face damage as he wants. He's going to play the value play though.
But they're now 1 card off the top.
Yeah.
And SPRAYQUAZA's got it.
This is it. And he's got a turn to do it. Doesn't play the other Skull Beast. That doesn't make any sense.
I guess he was getting the zombie anyway.
I've got to take a break.
Okay.
Now we can just play the Skull
All right.
Beast.
What?
Okay.
That works too.
1 card, SPRAYQUAZA.
That's right. HISHIRO says, it's up to you, sir. He gives the hand motion. Will he draw a Forte off the top? Oh, that's so close!
Oh, man.
1 damage away from lethal.
Tear away from your
However, with a lucky hit, this could prevent lethal. He needs to hit the 5-2.
big head for such a
And that's going to be game. HISHIRO going to go up 2-1 in this game. Whew!
Oh, boy. Okay.
So close.
That was a great game. That
So
was a
close.
really, really nice game.
special death from yours truly.
All right, so now with the top deck of Gremory, it didn't matter what it hit that last turn,
That's
but
true.
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, everybody. Yeah, these games are roller coasters. I love it. All right, so what this does mean now is that HISHIRO has to win a game with his Daria deck. Can it get it done?
He's only got 1 game. Only has 1 more chance. Oh, my gosh.
He's got 2 chances. He's got 2 decks
That's
to play
true.
up
Yeah,
against.
he's got 2 chances.
Yeah. 2 chances with Daria. SPRAYQUAZA does have to beat Daria twice, though. I like both ends of this story, right? Daria can
man.
brick a couple times. It can also just run you over. When you're the guy who's like, I have to beat Daria twice. It doesn't always feel very good.
No,
it
it
really just
doesn't.
depends on your experience, right?
Shall we cross swords?
I think his decks are okay against Daria, especially the Swordcraft deck. Aggro Dragon is, I mean, it's good against everything with the right draw, but it can also just get run over, so we'll see. Because its followers don't trade into wide, huge boards early.
Yeah, you're right. Until you have Galmu and whatnot, it's difficult. I do think, yeah, the thing is, SPRAYQUAZA's decks are okay against Daria.
Yeah, they're
It's
okay.
not like this is not hard counters or anything.
No, they're
like
not hard
that.
counters.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Looking at the hands, I mean, this is still
So
at least from these draws.
yeah, absolutely anybody's game. SPRAYQUAZA does have a decent curve here. It's not a very aggressive curve, but it's a very value-centered curve.
Hear the dragons
HISHIRO, very much
roar.
the same. Not a very aggressive curve until he draws Daria.
That's a concentration on the right play there.
Yep.
Okay.
Doing the Fate's Hand thing. If you're not drawing Daria early, Fate's Hand is the next best draw.
Keep relying on you, dragon.
It is hard to use those cards when you have both of them in your hand, though. It's like, which avenue do you take? It used to be common wisdom that if you had both, you just didn't play the Fate's Hand unless the Daria was too expensive to do anything with early.
Fate's Hand is there to draw Daria.
Yes.
You have Daria. There you go.
And if you draw too many cards before you play Daria, you might just get all of the cards you want to spell boost with Daria, or more Darias in your hand.
Or all 3 Darias.
Or all 3 Darias in your hand, absolutely. All right, so a decent early curve here from HISHIRO. Is able to put 2 followers down with a ward is always good.
Burning
Forces your
flames will
opponent to
freeze.
Evo. And not Evo into your bigger follower. trade their entire board away, which you're happy with.
Let's teach you how powerless.
Okay. Also going for some good draw there, enabling Disdainful Rending to help him clear off
I'll show you disdain.
board here in the Golem.
Unto dust I
Really
return.
solid turn here. Doesn't get to push a lot of damage, but does clear the board and
we've got
fill up
each
the
other.
board. Good things.
I thought he was even space there, man. I was like, about to jump out of my chair.
No. Daria is technically an aggressive deck, and by that I just mean it needs to get its spike damage in so that it can finish you off with its enchanted swords and blade mages and things like that. Right
Hero
now, no
does
chip.
come into the first Daria. He's got the leader.
I'll just point that out there for everybody who doesn't have leader Daria. HISHIRO definitely does.
Looking at you, Zero Fine, yeah.
Just rub it in.
I don't have leader Daria.
I don't have leader Daria. I'll tell you what, our OBS account does, though. It opened up 10 packs and got it.
Seriously?
Yeah, I wanted to break the computer.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
And we're just like, we need a new computer to, like, you know, look at the game so we can show it on broadcast.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
just open up the free packs that are on there. Daria leader. I'm like, okay, all right,
All right, game.
all right.
That's amazing.
All right, so here we go. A lot better hand from HISHIRO. Able to produce some damage and a board before actually having to deploy Daria.
That was an amazing turn.
Very good turn here. Very hard. Again, this is what I'm talking about. Dragon has a pretty hard time dealing with wide early boards. It can't really do it. It has to, I mean, it can, right? But it has to use its Evo points. It has to use its cards in play. It has to use all the removal in its hand. And it's not doing any damage. This is not what the deck is supposed to do. It's drawing into more board clear options, but taking the damage it did, using all of its resources to clear the opposing board and leaving behind just one attack followers.
Time to
Be
head
a slowish game for SPRAYQUAZA. Does have a Hippogriff Rider in play if HISHIRO decides to ignore the board next turn.
I don't think Ishiro's going to do that, though.
Every time.
Every time, man.
Every second you wait with Daria. Feels bad, man.
Every breath you take,
Every
second you wait. Daria's a little late.
Can you please break out in song right now?
Nobody wants
I love that growl. No.
I mean, that's the growl of a man who really wants to break out in song.
Oh, okay. But
But
you're holding
alas.
back. I see. Okay. That was pretty good. Another ward here. Holding back on the Daria again. Which seems fine this turn, as a matter of fact. You got a board. You got a ward. This is not going anywhere but face. There is no way. There's no way this is trading into a 1x. There's no way. I'll lose my mind. Thank you. Lose my freaking mind.
Whatever Hishiro does, man.
I know. I mean, it could be wrong what I say. That doesn't mean I'm not going to lose my mind.
Sure, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's true. Okay.
Absolutely. I could be completely wrong all the time.
I understand.
and lose my mind.
Tear away from your
Nice little board clear here.
Yeah. Galmu's still effective and unlimited. Effective everywhere. This is a card when it was released. I was like, it's fine. Better than fine.
Better than fine.
So better than fine that it got adjusted to only doing 1 instance of 3 damage per turn.
Now we're gonna be seeing some Daria.
Yeah, has to be Daria.
Yeah.
Don't say I didn't warn ya.
He redraws into. Not bad. Gets an Ogler.
Pretty good. Some draw here with the magic missile.
Gets a Chimera as well.
This is dumb. You're dumb.
There we go. And he's got a lot of spells he can play before this Chimera as well.
Nice.
And
Really,
ward.
really good.
Okay. Don't think he can play the ward this turn. Get the Chimera down. So I'm going to play the Owl instead.
Going beyond dimension.
Yeah, good turn. Clear most of the board. Actually, all of the board. Pull up the board yet again. This is what Daria does. Now, of course, this is the last push. HISHIRO doesn't have a Fate's Hand in hand. Doesn't have another Daria.
But
But
what
this
a
is
push
a pretty
that is.
effective push.
Okay. Double Hippogriff Rider in the hand of SPRAYQUAZA. Of course, Forte as well. There we go.
All right, so what do you do here? I think you have to use the Whisper
Cast
this
into
turn.
the void beyond.
You can Evo this into the Ogre to draw a card.
Is
and
made
follower,
of impetus.
leaving 9 damage for your opponent.
You won't
You
even
have to
hear
push
this
face.
tremble.
Yep.
Gotta gotta set that timer. You gotta throw the gauntlet down in these situations, and SPRAYQUAZA does just that.
So 2 damage away from lethal,
Oh,
and
wow.
that was it.
Oh my God!
Sometimes you just get what you need, and it's just that easy. HISHIRO is going to beat SPRAYQUAZA 3-1, again silencing these viewers as to who they should be voting for. I don't know how many times I can tell you guys. One of these days, you guys will believe me. HISHIRO
is
getting
the
it done.
truth. That HISHIRO's 2-0, man. That was really nice. He said it. If I play Ektar, I win.
It's true.
I'm assuming he was talking about the whole series.
Oh, yeah,
Not
absolutely.
Not just that game.
Yeah, if I play Ektar, I win everything.
He definitely wasn't, but
Yeah, no.
we'll say that he
Yeah,
was.
yeah, absolutely. I thought the reason why I thought he said 3 Ektars on there is because that's kind of the meme. Oh, he drew 3 Ektars. You know, it's like what he's supposed to do against that type of deal. But yeah, what an awesome set there. Again, HISHIRO just proving his prowess in Take 2 and now Unlimited. We haven't even gotten to rotation yet, which was the format he proved himself on.
Absolutely. I mean, like, that's insane that he proved himself in the 2 separate formats that we haven't seen him in. Defeated CRUMSION, defeated SPRAYQUAZA, the best players in Pan America. HISHIRO's the
And
best.
I love the test because his rotation will be against POTWASHER. So if he wins that game, I'm just saying this, he's gonna be my favorite for the World Grand Prix.
Probably. That's so. I mean, what a match that was.
Yeah.
City of Gold and Unlimited, just like absolutely blew
I
through Control
love
Storm.
the deck. If you guys have not had a chance to play this Havencraft list, we're gonna be posting the list and all that kind of
It's
stuff.
so cheap too.
It's so cheap to make. City of Gold is the only gold card in the Globe of Starways.
Yeah. And then
I think that's
Star Wars. I think it's the only gold card. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the rest is just bronze and silvers.
Yeah. No legendary.
It's super fun to play. It takes a little bit of time to get technical with it.
Oh yeah. It took me like probably 10 games of like losing. I was like, what am I doing?
yeah.
With
What
this?
do you do with this? What do you do with this?
But like
play?
once you hit that stride, it's like, okay, wow, I know exactly what to do, and
Yeah.
it's like that's so fun.
Yeah,
So
it's
fun.
so fun. But yeah, I would definitely highly suggest along with your other unlimited, crazy decks.
That's right. And now we have to change gears yet again because we're going back into rotation.
The juicy format.
The juicy format. This is, man, we were talking about Unlimited and how that's difficult to play. Rotation now, when the options have been narrowed down and everybody knows what's strong, Dark Feast Bat, Arcus Shadow, then every decision I feel like becomes so much more impactful now that I'm thinking about it.
Especially now that the adjustments have been made. Of course,
Right.
we have this looming over our head that the mini expansion will be coming at some point, right? So things could change. But as of right now, the format has been a little solved, but the adjustments came out just not too long ago. So it kind of threw everything out there. Dark Feast Bat is now not the 100%
Not
best
the
deck.
end-all, be-all.
Yeah. Swordcraft is not the end-all be-all anymore. As a matter of fact, you can't even really play
It's
Arthur
just
in your
the
Swordcraft
end-all.
deck.
It's
It's
just
just the end-all. Yeah, just don't play Sword. However, our players are not going to let that happen.
No.
Swordcraft is still around.
Swordcraft's around, Dark Beast Bat is around,
Yeah.
and we're going to be seeing CRUMSION versus MENSOU up in a little bit. But again, I mean, we saw a bit of Havencraft in rotation, but no Havencraft today.
Rotation's a tough one. Here's the problem. Havencraft was one of the best decks for a long time, right? I mean, Tenko Shrine Haven was really good. Summit
Yeah.
Temple Haven was really good.
It has lost a lot of that edge that it used to have.
It does. It's kind of just a little clunky in phases, right? So like Tenko Shrine is still good. I wouldn't say it's bad in this format, but people have been trying to even run, Lapis Glory B Haven with like Marwins and things like that. It's all just kind of a little too clunky. It's
Right,
really
yeah,
the best term I can have for it. It doesn't play out as consistently as most other decks. Even when you get your answers, Godsworn Alexial, Tenko Shrine, all these things, you might not get them in time. You might not even be able to play them into specific boards.
It is still very slow. It's
slow.
clunky and it's slow. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really do what it wants to do until very late in the game. And even then, what it does with Godsworn Alexial and obviously Seraph, you can just win the game.
It's still super slow.
It's so slow.
It's so slow.
Like, every time I see Havencraft on ladder, I'm like, in rotation, like, I'm probably going to win. It's, like, definitely a better chance than, like, anything else. Even Forestcraft now is, like, all right, this is, like, a series contender now.
Yeah. I'll give you my truth. I think Dragoncraft's the best class right now.
Really, in rotation?
I usually think that Dragoncraft is tier 1 even when it's not. However, I do believe Prime Dragon Keeper Dragon is just the most consistent, best deck you can be playing right now.
Interesting. You were trying to pitch me on some Lindworm, actually.
Lindworm's great too. So
Yeah.
Lindworm before the adjustments happened. After the adjustments,
Okay.
Lindworm's fine, but I think Prime Dragon Keeper is just at a really nice sweet spot right now. You don't even have to play Prime Dragon Keeper. It's just the threat of it, and when you do have it, it's just nice.
And when you throw it down and we have, like, you know, Waters of the Orchid, that's all fine. But you're right, it does force out some strong removal spells from your opponent's
Well,
hand.
here's the thing. So Shadowcraft is what most people would say the best deck is, and I think Dragoncraft is just supremely good against it. You play the 3 Serpent Drakes, you play your early board fill, you play your Servants, you know, of Disdain that they can't really fight into. You just have so many good options against them that it's really hard for them to get going. And then by the time they do, you're just like Ozzy Dahaka, Galmew, Ozzy Dahaka.
The
like,
Ozzy Dahakas are what just send that deck over the mountain for you.
exactly.
Just having like that massive, really cheap storm damage, it's crazy good.
Yeah, so Shadow definitely up there. Bloodcraft isn't necessarily tier 0 anymore. It's still probably tier 1, tier 1.5. Dragon is definitely tier 1 right now.
The changes to Grimoire, I think, really did take it down a peg. Because it removed like one of the lethal options that was a lot easier to do. Now it made it that much harder.
Sure. So Shadow, where people might have thought it was tier 0, I think again is around that same realm. It's tier 1. It's still very good. It's really high value. You're just not going to be going crazy with it anymore. It's really just now what it always should have been, which was a combo deck that plays into the late game, has a lot of options. It doesn't really have that aggressive push option anymore.
Right. Yep. Moving forward, don't forget to vote for who you think is going to win the match. CRUMSION or MENSOU, exclamation point vote. MENSOU or exclamation point vote. CRUMSION, this is another interesting one. I can't wait to see like what the audience thinks about what
I
this
think
match
CRUMSION's still going to be the favorite, just like POTWASHER is. These are the golden boys of Shadowverse right now, you know what I mean? So we'll see. But looking at the deck list, we see Arcus Shadow on both sides of the board. Like I said, everybody thinks this is the best. PDK on both sides of the board. They agree with me. And then Dark Feast Bat versus Loot Sword.
Interesting. I'm really excited to take a look at MENSOU's Loot Sword list, considering the changes that were made to Arthur. Of course, he's not including Arthur.
Yeah, let's take a look at this list. There's Jiraiya, there's Gilnelis in more than a number of 1 in the deck. He's got all of the loot cards.
Yep.
He's
Disciple of Usurpation.
Yeah, everything that puts a loot card into your hand. Only 2 Usurping Spine Blades as well. We saw that change kind of happen at the end of the Contenders Cup, things like that. Lux is back in the deck. Chromatic Duel down to 2, Rapier Master and Quick Blader, just as different options.
I want to see some Jiraiya action so hard. Let's take a look at CRUMSION's Dark Feast Bat. There were some changes to Dark Feast, of course. Floros got adjusted down now. It can only be activated after your third turn.
Yeah, third turn or after, absolutely.
And Dark Feast, of course, went up to 8 cost.
Yeah, so the small changes that you'll notice in this deck, no more Scorpius. 1 less Disciple of Lust because it's not as impactful in the early game anymore. It's still good, but you can't activate the crazy Floros turns. And more card draw back in the deck, right? Pure-Hearted Singers at 2, Alexandrite Demons at 3. You're playing more of the endgame stuff like Valnarek is back up to 3. It was down to 2. Wings of Lust, that's kind of a throw-in card. It's just one of those things that can get you out of a tight spot.
I love Wings of Lust so much. Sometimes it makes it actually impossible to deal with the Viral. On turn 4, it's a 6/6 that has to be dealt basically 8 damage.
So 2 things about Wings of Lust for me. 1, I've never seen it cast on a Vira in my life.
Really?
I don't know why, but it's never happened. I'm one of those guys.
I think that's why that's not the only reason it's
not.
there.
It usually just gets cast on something and it's fine. I also am one of those players that don't really like it. It's one of those cards that you have to have something in play, or an Evo point. You have to have something to run into if you don't have a follower already in play. It does do self-damage, but it's like, I don't know. I'm of the school of thought that when you have to play something on a follower you already control in order for something to be good,
gives you drain.
I
man.
know.
It's so good.
I know.
Totally understand why you don't
I've
think
never
it fits.
lost to a player who's played Wings of Lust against me. I also don't play against these caliber
You also
players.
said you've never seen it played on a Vira.
On a Vira. That's true. That's true. Confirmation bias. Yeah.
When you have a 6/6 Vira with drain, you've already like probably done Floros like the turn before. It's just like
I'll trust you.
The
I'll
high roll
trust you.
potential is nasty.
That's right.
So like when Floros was adjusted down, you can't high roll as much with Disciple, but you can still get some great plays with Floros on 3 and then a 6/6 Vira in the turn.
That's true. All right, let's hop into our last match of the day, guys. Tempo Storm's CRUMSION versus Revelations MENSOU. MENSOU, of course, the other French player from the European side of things who got his invite at the very first LAN tournament of the year, way back when. He actually beat Onion Sheep in the finals in Tours France to claim his spot. And we've seen him just kind of go on a rush since then, right? We didn't really see him do anything huge in the seasons, like the seasonal tournaments. But he came back in the Contenders Cup, had a very hard strength of schedule, and made it through all the way. And let's see if he can get it done today.
CRUMSION, of course, both of these players fought through the loser's side of the bracket at the Contenders Cup in their respective regions.
That's true. That's true. They both had to go through an entire field of tough opponents to earn their slots. They both did. And I think this is going to be a fun match to watch. I do think that Dark Feast Bat is slightly better than New Loot Sword. I don't even know if I like New Loot Sword yet. I haven't had a chance to play with it a ton.
I'm still on the fence. Really on the fence.
But I do think CRUMSION has a slight edge matchup-wise. Very close, obviously, with only the 2 decks being different. We'll see if MENSOU knows the secret. These Frenchmen, man, I'll tell you, they know things that we don't. They know things.
USA versus France. I love that it's ended up being one country versus
Yeah,
another. Whatever that's going to be, just like...
But they're going to join forces as they all go to try to beat the Eastern
absolutely.
forces, right?
Yes,
You know, they've got to play against Japanese players, Korean players, Taiwanese players. I mean, they got to beat them all.
Oh, yes.
And they're going to be joined by a Singapore player. Or
That's
the person
true,
who qualified from the Singapore.
Yep, Chaldea. Yeah, that's right.
Chaldea. As a matter of fact, if you guys have noticed, we've had his
we've
picture up
we've
there.
had a little tribute to him. He wasn't able to join us for the Crucible, unfortunately. But he's with us.
That's right. If you can spot him, he's the Where's Waldo on our set.
Yeah.
All right. So, looking at CRUMSION's hand here, has options for card draw in multiple different forms. Has options for removal as well if he wants to get rid of the Melnus from the field. It's really just, this deck has now become, how do I set up 4 Floros? How do I actually do this in mid-game turns so that I can heal enough to actually get to turn 8 to play my Dark Feast Bats? It's more of a much mid-rangey deck than it used to be, where it used to just be an all-out aggro deck.
Yeah, very true. This is a difficult turn. CRUMSION has a difficult choice. Do I want to play the Snarling Chains or maybe the Restless Parish, or just go down the
Vira.
2-drop to contest board?
Interesting. So it feels like he's not going to use the Evo on Vira, so wants to trade on board with it. Basically, it's like a ward, because if MENSOU doesn't have another 2-2 to play behind this Melnus, then it kind of has to trade, otherwise there's going to be free value given to CRUMSION.
Right.
And I think what CRUMSION's doing is saving for the big push, you know, to get as many damage effects in the same turn as he can. Right now, he can go Snarling Chains, Restless Parish. If he draws another 0 cost, he can just push the Floros out.
Got it.
But he could have done that with one of the Razor Claws too. I don't know. Snarling Chains feels like a little bit of a better option to me. I kind of just push face here. I don't think you trade. Maybe MENSOU's afraid. He's like, why did he just play the Vira there?
Yes. Yeah. Does he? Maybe it was a bit of a mind game. I mean, maybe MENSOU's not going to think, okay, he doesn't have Snarling Chains.
I'm pushing face here. If Blood ever gives me the chance to be aggressive against it, you push. If you can get Bloodcraft down in defense points early, and they can't use all of their effective spells all in the same turn, like they can't Razor Claw you, do something else because they're at like 4 or 6 or something like that, you're just in a very good position. I like it. I like the face push here. Vira seems, I smell weakness when they play Vira.
Yep.
On 3.
On turn 3. Not even on turn 2. Servant of Lust was a great pickup there. Let's see. Okay, no opportunity for Floros.
No. One cast away from that. Same as next turn as well. No way to proc it next turn. Kind of an interesting choice to me. Pure-Hearted Singer I would have almost liked a little bit better last turn, or Snarling Chains. Vira, again, just such a weird play to me. Then again, this is one of the hardest decks in the format to play, still to this day, I imagine, even after the adjustments. CRUMSION, I remember talking to me at the Contenders Cup, was always saying things like, this is the hardest deck in the format to play right now because there are literally infinite options every single turn that could, like, your mulligan options are hard, every turn is hard. Do you save for Floros? Do you not? Do you play card draw now? Do you play to the board? Do you play removal? Do you draw a card? What do you do?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you do every turn? So I'm hoping that CRUMSION, with a lot of his playtesting with his teammates, has gotten around to getting back to Blood. Because I remember he didn't play Blood, I believe, in the Contenders Cup because he was too afraid to play the deck.
He played Blood.
Oh, he didn't play Shadow.
He didn't play Shadow.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's one of those players that will not play decks if he's not comfortable with them.
But now, CRUMSION has brought Shadow.
That's true. That's true. Maybe enough games with POTWASHER, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, finally got him over the hump.
POTWASHER is, okay, CRUMSION, let me...
And I think Bloodcraft was just one of those decks you had to play at Contenders Cup because it was just that powerful before the adjustment.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, still a really tough deck to pilot.
Going into the first Evo turn for MENSOU, he has 2 fairies and an Andrialphus. Coming into a Lady Grey. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of good choices here. I don't mind the Injury Alpha Evo here.
No, I don't mind it at all. Just going for that card draw there. You can throw down the Lyria or the Lady Grey after it.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. Now, if he wants to keep more of the board, of course he can go with the Lady Grey. Try to get a balance back, which is also very good.
Oh, yeah.
You just waste some of the heal on the Lady Grey when you do
Hush,
that.
little baby.
I am
Don't say
Belinus
a
the
word.
Shining.
20.
Back to the friend zone.
Get in the turn with another. I love that Servant of Lust says back to the friend zone when he's destroyed. It's amazing. And he's a French too, which is hilarious. I feel like that's a French accent.
Yeah,
It's kind of what
could be. To be fair, like, you know, France is the country of, I don't want to paint them in like a weird light, but you know, like love, lust, you know, that
Yeah,
type of feeling.
Of course, yeah.
yeah.
At least that's what we have in our American
Yeah, our
minds.
silly little American minds. This is the information that we have. Frenchmen are all the rage. The language is beautiful.
Yeah, the food and the wine is
amazing.
great.
Yeah, it's charming.
It's charming.
Yeah, it's all those things. All right, so CRUMSION, no way to deal with wide boards right now, unless he just wants to fling out all of his removal spells this turn. But again, that will pull him away from actually activating Floros come time. I think you just have to start with Pure-Hearted here. Got to get some card draw going. Pure-Hearted Evo plus, you know, something like a Snarling Chains this turn feels fine. Oh man, another Razor Claw. These are not the cards you want.
Oh no. Threw out his Vira on turn 2 and now doesn't have that resource to use.
I am still of the mind that if you want to be cutting cards in your deck and you cannot figure out what Razor Claw is the card to cut. I know a lot of players like to keep 3 in their deck, but generally speaking, this is not a card that you play early. It's not a card that you even want to play all the time, and it's not even necessary to kill your opponent a lot of the time.
Right.
So it's one of those cards that I've toyed around with playing with 2 of them. I wouldn't really go down to 1 because you do want the option against like the slower control decks. But if you notice this type of a hand, it's still winnable,
I'll be home soon.
but it's tough.
It's very tough. Is just racking his brain for a good
Oh,
place
man.
to do this.
Yeah, he's just like, I need card draw. He does not want to wait another turn to go like
Yeah.
quad, or not quad, but triple Razor Claw into
I'll love you
the
down to
Restless
the
Parish
bone.
to activate a Floros. I think that might be a mistake though. Without that plan, he has to draw into a Floros or else he's just going to die. He's not going to have any time to get to his Dark Feast bat. Razor Claws deal 2 damage to yourself before they deal 3 damage to any other target. So if MENSOU keeps pushing here, this is going to get rough.
Followers on board. He's going to bring the skeleton into the Earth Singer. Wants to value out of the service, but he's just going to play the Andrew Office there.
Don't even need to at this point, honestly. You kind of want to play around the Evil Eye Demon. You don't really want to give up a full board of good followers if you can help it. I kind of would have liked to see an Evo face here just to get more damage, but not necessary. Ah, he did draw into the floors and a Wings of Lust.
Wow.
Okay. Got some play to him yet.
It's not bad. There's nothing else. Nope. Well, he could just use a Wings of Lust as it is on the Pure-Hearted Singer to get drained. And he can play the Floros. No, he can't play the Floros.
Can't
Recall
play
after
a
that.
Razor Claw. Yeah. So he can basically clear 2 followers and drain back most of the health that he loses.
Still has an Evo Orb.
Maybe you just Evo with the Winds of Lust, honestly. Just drain as much as you possibly can. And you've got an Evo for the Floros, which will take you into turn 7. And then you have Dark Beast Bat. However, that Dark Beast Bat is nowhere near 19. So I think
No.
I think maybe even if you want to try to win this game, you Wings of Lust, Evo, and Razor Claw this turn. Potentially you just forget your opponent has a game plan, and you just kind of go for your own. I don't know if you can play the board clear game when you're this behind. Like, maybe you just Wings of Lust, Evo, face, and Razor Claw face this turn. Evo Floros next turn. Hopefully you're not in a situation where you just lose Razor Claw again.
Shall we intertwine?
Oh, interesting. So not going to get the drain.
Open your ears,
This
you
presents the
cur.
biggest possible risk.
And shine.
Anything else to really do
Darling, I'll be home
next
soon.
turn aside from the Razor Claws? Whatever else he draws off the top, and this leads
So he's
for a
playing for the long game.
Yeah.
He's playing for the long game. There's nothing wrong with playing for the long game. It's just risky because you still, I mean, you have to make it through everything MENSOU's going to throw at you.
You have to make it through the Cerberus this turn.
A potential Gilmelise next turn. And you only have one Evo. You don't have Evil Eye Demon. Even if you do now, it will get wiped away. So you can Evo this over the Pure-Hearted Singer. Run the Skeleton or the Andrialphus into the Evo Floros.
So one follower left to the face. The good evolve effect from Cerberus, man. Pretty good, especially with full boards.
Did you like
Considering
it?
what he wants to trade with here. All right, so another Floros can be activated next turn now with that draw. This would mean triple Razor Claw used into Gift would activate Floros for another Evo.
So that's 7
Go down to
ticks of self
4.
damage.
You can't do that.
There's no way.
You don't, I mean, you could if you Razor Claw everything.
Well, but he could get, he wouldn't have to use this because he can use Razor Claw on the Mimi. That would do 2 damage to it. Count as a
Oh,
self
that's true.
damage.
That's true. Okay, just getting Grumry out there for card draw.
Oh, baby.
Something necessary.
Wow.
It stinks a little bit, but I think this is your best option going into turn 7. I think you kind of just have to do it. You can Razor Claw face here too and Gift this turn. This is your way to actually get into an endgame where you can win.
So 3 ticks of self-damage possible if he's Evil Eye Demons. With the Mimi and the Razor Claw and the Gift.
The Gift actually gives him potential to side skirt the Evil Eye Demon dying here as well. There's only 1, 2, actually no, there's only 3 points of it anyway, so it's not going to die regardless. Yeah, I think just Razor Claw face Evil Eye Demon. Alright, yeah, poll results are in. This is what I expected.
75%.
This is what I expected. Everybody expects CRUMSION to win. Along with POTWASHER, again. Like I said, the golden boys of Shadowverse
They're
right
the
now.
Golden Boys, man. They're the Texas Twins.
And just as an update, everyone, that is at 6. So again, we're still a ways away. And I think you just have to buy time here. I think he's just making the decision, do I want to get Floros proc out? Do I want an Evil Eye Demon, maybe save Floros proc? Without an Evo point, Floros proc feels a little bit worse. I think this is mandatory Evil Eye.
Yep.
And just play point efficiently, wise sake, I think you have to play a Razor Claw here.
You have to.
Unless you're really hoping you draw into another self-damage and proc a Floros, that might not matter. I like getting the damage in. So this means Dark Feast Bat just gained 2 more procs, I believe. So Dark Feast Bat should be
3
at
more procs.
8.
The Mimi.
Well, there was Mimi, there was Razor Claw, what
Gift.
else? Oh, and Gift, that's right, you're right, 3. So at 9 then.
Isn't this a wonderful program?
This will definitely be Evil over Evil Eye Demon.
100%.
100% of the time. If he does
Well,
not,
I mean,
unless MENSOU did perfect math, which, I mean, he absolutely can with the self-damaging that has happened this turn, or this game. He might know that Dark Beast Bat is not lethal, and then wants to save the Evo point for some ungodly reason. I'm not sure.
Blood Craft's at 6 defense.
I think you're fine
Yeah.
here, because even if you clear, if the board gets cleared, you have lethal.
Action.
You have any number of options to win in your hand, honestly.
That was a great draw there.
Downwork was great.
Unfortunately, I don't think CRUMSION can afford to do any of the Razor Claws.
Razor Claws, I mean, are automatically certain death with any combination of cards. Being at 6, you can stay alive, technically. It's possible, but when you have a follower in play, it's not, because your opponent can just play too many things, run one thing in, play another 2-drop, and get an extra damage out of their effects. Plus, I mean, we can see Illyria in hand, so a Gilmelise on top of small followers is happening. So 6 damage is definitely there.
Illyria, that is certainly possible. You have to Valorek and just to clear off that Arcus.
I think, yeah, Valnorek, attack face, pass question mark.
Pass, shoulder shrug.
Yeah, and even if you do that, there's still not a lethal setup for the following turn. I don't think there's any out here for CRUMSION. I think his hand was just a little bit too lackluster, filled with too many Razor Claws, not enough card draw.
So well,
Again, would you?
Why people think Shadow's the best, because it beats what people thought was the best before in pretty successful fashions these days, just because it's a slower deck now.
Very true.
And it's just good overall. I mean, you see what it does, right? It reanimates, it has endgame. I mean, we're not even going to see too much of the Arcus endgame here, but you'll see a little glimpse of it next turn. It can do some pretty powerful things in the endgame, like 20 to 0ing its opponent. So you can stop its damage all game, but it'll get there.
I'm coming for you.
There we go, Gilmelise. Of course, the 2 ghosts made because the Lyria died and it originally cost 2. So Arcus gives you the ability that when small followers die 3 or less, you get 1/1 storms for its cost, and then Gilmelise, of course, pumping the rest of the team. So game 1 going to go to MENSOU in a matchup that a lot of people think is favored for Shadow right now.
Sure,
so
sure.
definitely fine.
So now MENSOU still has his PDK list and his loot sword list. I'm certainly most excited to see how MENSOU pilots the loot sword
Yes.
list, considering it's so new.
Yeah, it's new. Technically, it's been around for a while, but it hasn't really been, you know,
Yeah.
tested
It's sort
a
of
lot.
like grandma's sourdough loaf. There's always been a bit of it that's just left over from times past.
Yeah, but
You know?
Gordon Ramsay took over and said, "This is how you make it." You know what I mean?
That's
So
very true.
MENSOU is our Gordon Ramsay today. He is our
Right.
chef to build this deck. And as you can see, it's still not necessarily what I would call built. You know what I mean? Because like 1 Rapier Master, 2 Quick Bladers, like a little bit of
Sure.
this, a little bit of that. I think he's still testing with the deck, and this
Yeah.
is a perfect format to do it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's still not like that. I know every card I want in this list. I mean, it could just be that he wants that 1 Rapier Master, but you know, just little things like that that kind of make me feel like maybe
What's
this
the
isn't fully
matter?
built yet.
But it looks like we're going to be seeing the Swordcraft list from MENSOU
Bear
in
the
this game.
past,
And we'll see
but
how
seize the future.
this slightly new adjusted Swordcraft fits against this slightly new adjusted Dark Feast bat, because this was a huge matchup of contention when Omen of the Ten first came out.
Yeah, Bloodcraft actually fared very well against Swordcraft in times past, but both decks have been adjusted now. I feel like the Arthur hit was a little bit more potent than the Dark Feast bat hit. However, I have seen curves where Loot Sword can just be ahead of Blood the entire time, and you can't really get back into the game because you just get too much value with your loot cards. So we'll see.
Servant of Usurpation is such an amazing drop against the Disciple, but now that we're seeing less Disciples,
Less Scorpius.
less Scorpius, yeah.
I mean, I guess that doesn't matter too much, but yeah, that still trades into it.
yeah.
But yeah, just less things that it can trade to in profitably.
That's true. So it matters now that we're not seeing Scorpius at all in these lists.
True. Yeah, just the early Fluoro streams are gone. I can't turn 1 Fluoro Sakamara red anymore, and it makes me feel bad.
But hey, you got it out, but you got the one of it done before
I did.
before it's not possible.
Against a very good player.
For the rest of your life, you'll have that.
Well, Akamara red, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. All right, so only 2 chromatic duels in MENSOU's deck, but does happen to have one on turn 1. This is a way that Rotational Sword can have a nice on-the-play 4-drop in the White Queen here, or the Black Queen, depending. Now,
Yeah.
it was common knowledge that you take Black Queen against Blood in the mid-game in the old days. I think now that it's become more of a tempo deck, maybe you get the White Queen here, but you can see maybe he hasn't made that decision yet in this
Yeah.
matchup. He's deciding right now.
It still only evolves into an attack follower with Elvira.
He is going to go with the Black Queen, though.
Yep.
So why, you might ask? He's on the play. White Queen seems great, always on the play. When you have big followers in Swordcraft that cannot be damaged by spells and effects, then Bloodcraft has to use its Evos into it, and generally speaking, its Evos aren't big enough to take care of how big the Black Queen can be on events. So it can protect your board, it forces them to use their Evos as opposed to their removal effects on your board, or just pass and let you deal a bunch of damage.
Crumsion's hand is looking, I'd say, much better than it was last game. He has Evil Eye Demon now, and wants to just clear off the servant and not give any loot cards.
He actually has some card draw now in Blood Pact.
That's true.
He didn't have any Alexandrite Demons, any Blood Pacts, you know, nothing really going for him last game. Yeah, able to actually contest the board here. Just throwing out the servant here. Okay with trading servants.
It's totally fine, especially in the servant. Probably one of the better 2-drops in the game.
Back to the friend zone.
Let's blow up the board. I like this going into a queen turn. Makes it very hard for the board to be dealt with. This turn's super awkward. Might just be a blood pack turn. Not really a whole lot going on here.
Possibly, yeah. It's not much else to do.
Next turn you have Vyra, Evil Eye Demon. Still not a whole lot. Maybe you save that for next turn. Maybe you want a blood pack with the Vyra. But then again, what are you doing this turn if you save it? This is rough.
Crumsion's thinking, okay, does my opponent have Magnus or Chimera? If I throw down the Vyra, then I just kind of get punished by Chimera. Maybe just block it. Although Crumsion did throw out the Vyra last turn just to get support.
That's not happening this game. He's going second. He's got extra Evo points. There's no way he's just throwing the Vyra down here. If he does, you'll color me surprised. Yeah, Blood Pact it is. I think that's the right choice. Just get more options for your Evo turn here. Octress now in the hand for Mensou. So now proc Floros or even a played Floros can get diminished. Same thing with a Pure-Hearted Singer. If you're Swordcraft, you usually hit either of those on sight.
Oh, yes. Just getting some last words draw card, taking away from your opponent. Nothing wrong with that.
I love it. Luck's back in the deck. It's been a long time since we've seen Lux in a Swordcraft deck.
Oh, yes.
It's still there, surprisingly enough.
It's great on the play when your opponent just has, like Crumsion, just has a Blood Pact in your turn, and sometimes players can be a little just hesitant around Evo turns.
It's a Blood Pact, but it's a targeted Blood Pact, and it adds a follower to the board. Yeah. It does cost 4, though. A little different.
Yeah.
It can cost 2 for just 1 card draw.
Gives you that option. Okay, turn 4 for Crumsion. As Floros evolve, he can get back up to 20. Is Vera evolve as well?
Is Lathan the only commander that costs...
Frontline Cavalier.
No, I know frontline. So you get 5 or less and then 6 or more.
Maybe Jiraiya?
Yeah, Jiraiya. Is Jiraiya an officer or commander? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
We'll find out.
Yep.
Hey, tech guys, get a Jiraiya up on the screen. Let's see if he's a commander or not. I don't know if it'll even show us if we see the card.
I don't know if the icon at the bottom of the card is going to be different for officers.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, so into this board, again, what you're looking to do is proc Floros if you can, set up for good Evil Eye Demons. Vyra does not have a good turn. You're not doing too much with this Vyra here.
Yeah.
This is tough.
But I mean, Vyra, Servant of Lust.
It's still good for tempo. You're just not getting, the max, protect yourself from your own self-damage turn.
No.
No.
Pretty difficult to deal with.
Forth and course your blood.
Magnus and Vayne can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Apostle of Usurpation can deal with it just fine.
That's true. Apostle's the best answer to it immediately because you can Evo right over it. Now, unfortunately, you don't have a super easy clear for the 4-2. I mean, I guess it is. You get the 1 extra damage on it. You get to trade 1 your 1/1s.
Easy turn there
Easy
for
peasy.
the Apostle. Another great Swordcraft. But we're coming into those turns where it's going to be really difficult for Swordcraft to do much. He'd use the Apostle on 5. He doesn't have it for 6. I guess he can Vayne and then use the Gilded Blade or the Gilded Necklace in his hand.
This is opening up the Apostle, though. This is something that you just have to kind of accept in this matchup. This opens the Apostle up to basically all of the removal spells in a Bloodcraft deck. But yeah, nothing to be done about it. You've got to get the Vyra off the table. Otherwise, you're just allowing 4 damage to face.
All right, Singer, okay. I think that was it, just getting the Evil Eye Demons down to 2 so we can keep that off.
Yeah, getting Bloodcraft into the endgame where they haven't really dealt any damage. You saw how effective it was last game. This game is not any different. You just try to get to the endgame, force them to have all of their damage through Dark Feast Bats, and it makes their endgame much tougher.
And now Octress is a great turn a great play this turn. And he has the loot cards to kind of fill out the curve a little bit, not to mention, oh, but you know what? He'll overdraw, he'll mold one of the loot cards, and he could play the quick player out.
Yeah.
To open up 2 spots. Okay, that's fair.
In this situation, just because it is mid to late, yes, you did see a Pure-Hearted Singer on 5, and taking away its draw is very effective. I think because you are this far ahead, maybe at this point I would consider saving Octress for the Floros. However, he has more than 1 Octress in his hand, so might as well just deny all of the value from Crumsion here. Nothing wrong with this at all.
Let's see. The Quick Blade or the Gilded Necklace or the Gilded Blade. To get his hand size down to 7 before he decides to next.
Yeah, just has a really good setup here too. So it could also be that MENSOU is saving the Black Queen for an Evil Eye turn if one does happen.
Did you like it?
Not gonna Evil Dock.
Let's speed things up.
He's going to save the Evo Orb. That's good. That's really good, actually.
Yeah, no reason to use it really. Next turn, he could be using the Evo for something like a frontline Cavalier after, say, this board gets wiped somehow. Not sure how Bloodcraft can do that.
Cough, cough.
Cough, cough. Or Skiff can be played like we saw last game. Very good tandem cards. You get some self-damage in while also wiping their board. So the negative effect of it, giving your opponent a 1/1, not so effective.
So you have Floros and Wings of Lust, Floros and Blood Pact. Which ones are fun? Which is the better?
You just saw an Octress. So, and it's before turn 8. This would be my turn to play Floros, honestly.
Okay, Blood Pact's first. Valoric's not active. Yeah, I think probably just Floros.
I think this is the turn to do it. Again, you just saw Octress. If they do have another Octress, you force them to play it on 7 so they don't get the extra benefit from it. No, he's not going to go with Floros here. It's fine.
I'll take until I starve.
Okay, so I think this activates Floros. I think that's what he's doing.
For transformation.
Not bad. So why play one when you can just activate one from your deck?
Invote it.
Now, the
Invocate.
problem with this play is that you leave yourself at 7. There's 2 damage in play. He opened the door for a Dragon Knights to have a Lancelot come out and be Evo'd face. MENSOU's going to go up 2-0 in this. So Crumsion walks away. He already knows it's over.
Yep.
Yep. Thought there was no way to actually get above a Dragon Knight turn, and it is just not working for him. Bloodcraft looking pretty poor against these decks right now.
It really is.
Could be a combination of, you know, what he's drawing versus the turns that he's had to play through, but his turns have not been easy.
Floros is looking like a card that might not need to be in the deck. Maybe just as a one-up, so you have a good invocation.
How dare you?
How dare I?
So I'll put it to you this way. I play 3 in my deck, and I love it.
Wow.
I play it every turn. You know why? Because it keeps you alive.
That's true. That's true.
I, as a matter of fact, barely Evo Vira anymore. I Evo all 3 of my Floros every game.
All right. Well.
Okay.
Okay. Put me in my place there.
How dare you? All right. So up 2-0 is MENSOU going into possibly our last game of the set. Again, silencing you viewers of the favoritism against HISHIRO and MENSOU. These guys are good.
These are both.
You guys will learn.
These are some of the best players in the world.
They are, and they're not playing against some chumps. They're playing against CRUMSION, against POTWASHER, against SPRAYQUAZA.
French players, man.
If these odds don't change next week, I'm calling shenanigans on our viewers. They're not paying attention.
They're not. It's just like, oh, who's up? Yeah, CRUMSION.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it. CRUMSION. You know, I've been behind him all season, you know what I mean? But now we're getting to the end of the year, and I've got to look at who's the most sharp, the most polished right now.
Yep.
Not over the course of the year, right now. And right now, I'm not saying CRUMSION's not polished. I'm just saying these other players looking mighty fine-tuned right now with,
and the
with what
preparation
they're doing.
That's required for the World Grand Prix is so much different than the preparation that's required for something like an open qualifier tournament. You're not building your decks and building your strategy around casting a wide net and doing as best you can there. You're building against very specific opponents, and that's exactly what the Crucible has been about, and that's exactly what the World Grand Prix is going to be about.
Exactly. The difference is at the World Grand Prix, you're going to have to play against a new opponent that you really haven't had a chance to play against every single round.
From a different country.
From a different
several
country,
different countries.
with a different play style,
Yes.
with different archetypes that you're not used to.
Yes, yes.
You have to prepare like crazy, and you have to get used to these high-intensity matches. Right? So POTWASHER's actually been practicing against the Japanese ladder. They have their own ladder system online where you just queue up, you know, best 2 deck, no ban, and just play, and you try to rank up through their online system.
Really cool.
That's definitely a way that you can do it right now that these players have. Of course, boot camping with each other. A lot of things you can be doing to have those high-intensity matches right now. That's why I love these right now. I love these.
Right.
This is putting them on camera.
Yep.
The stakes are high.
Nothing I'd rather do on a Saturday morning than sit back, relax, watch some show.
That's right. It's good. It's good. All right, so we saw at the beginning of this game, Crumsion kind of shaking his head here, not too happy with his draw in the mirror. Generally speaking, when you don't have ramp in the mirror, you want to be going aggressive. You want to push to the board. Crumsion doesn't really have either of those options in his hand.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't feel great. On the other hand, MENSOU doesn't really have either of those options either. I mean, his curve is a little bit better.
He's got the Disciple and onto the Serpent.
He does.
Pretty good.
He does. He has to decide if he wants to do that next turn, but his curve might get a little weird. So there's a couple options with MENSOU's hand. He could just play the Serpent Drake outright, not get any value out of this Disciple immediately.
Right.
And just push face, and then next turn play Waters of the Orca and just keep pushing without any ramp. Or you can go this value-oriented plan.
Bow your head.
It's looking mighty good now with that
That's pretty
rending.
good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Now next turn you have Serpent Drake plus rending, which feels pretty insane. Now you also have ramp options with Ayala. You don't need a ramp from 4 to 6. 5 to 7 is just fine.
He's thinking about trading. I don't know. I kind of like going face there.
I don't know if you want to allow any value trades.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you just
Okay.
clear. So here's the thing about Dragon. And people who play Dragon a lot, they know. Any spike damage, doesn't matter if it's aggro Dragon Unlimited, doesn't matter if it's Dragon in rotation, if you allow any points of early damage or any little things to get through, then realistically, it's that much easier for that over-the-top Ozzy to Haka to just help you finish out the game. Ozzy to Haka with an Evo is 8 damage. If you're at 18, right, and you go right down to 10, the next
And then
Ozzy to Haka
suddenly-
plus something else is already lethal. You've got to be careful. If you're at 20, it gives you a little bit more of a cushion, or 19 or something like that. But looks like Crumsion's going to answer back with the same play. Draws into ramp himself, so
Nice.
looks like both game plans are online now.
I'll show you
There
disdain.
is no meaning in
We're just
power.
going to see easy trades.
Power is useless.
Next turn, we're going to see MENSOU have like the perfect 5, honestly. Pure-Hearted Singer and Ayala. That's really what you want for 5.
That's amazing. Crumsion has his own Serpent Drake and has Dragon Oracle. Okay, Dragon Oracle and then Ayala.
He's still no match for Mr.
Yeah, I think
Dragon.
double ramp is exactly what Crumsion needs to do going second. He needs to be able to answer, or at least produce turn 7 before his opponent, just so he can answer Prime Dragon Keepers, things like that. What we have learned in the past, not always the case because the Saneful Rending is a card now, so is Galmew. That the first Prime Dragon Keeper is usually the worst one because it gets answered and then your opponent plays their Prime Dragon Keeper. But if you can set it up properly, it can be very good.
Serpent Drakes into Serpent Drakes on the side of MENSOU.
Improvement.
Gosh.
Means no Pure-Hearted Singer Ayala this turn. Does mean wider board, though. But he's playing into a turn 7. He's got to be careful here.
He's still
Okay,
no match
still
for
needs
Mr.
Ayala. I
Dragon.
like this play. This gives you pseudo-ramp, not pseudo-ramp, actual ramp on Ozzy to
Yeah.
Haka.
He won't let you harm Mr.
And of course
Dragon.
builds into that Prime Dragon Keeper being able to be played next turn.
Double ramp, brilliant. Gets you closer there and it reduces the cost of Ozzy to Haka.
Closes that gap. So now it's decision time for both of our players. When do you play the Prime Dragon Keeper? I think Crumsion can easily play Galmew here.
Oh yeah, easy, clear the board.
Force your opponent to have an answer to it, and then play your Prime Dragon Keeper, or your Poseidon, depending on how you feel. I don't think Poseidon, you want to save Poseidons for the late game, like when you know your opponent wants to push those odds.
When you know you need more.
Yeah. So, but there are options here. I mean, you can go Prime Dragon Keeper plus Serpent Drake, evolve the Serpent Drake, clear board. Actually, no. One off. So that wouldn't work, actually. I think Galmy's the best play here.
Galmew, yeah, trades. Destroys the 3-1. You can trade attack into the 3-2. And that takes off the Ayala.
It's the cleanest answer, and it only requires 1 card, and it gets a free Evo on Ozzy to Haka, so that opens it up as an option next turn if your opponent doesn't really do anything. And that's actually how you really get it done, right?
Yeah.
You play the first Ozzy to Haka, you Evo it face, and you're like, hey, do you have an answer to this?
Oh, okay.
And if you do, maybe I just have another one. And then I just go face again. And if you don't have an answer, then I play my Poseidon behind it, and you're dead.
Yeah.
is going with the Prime Dragon Keeper.
Okay. He still has Ozzy the Haka next turn.
Still room for improvement.
And he gets to keep the Galmew. And, okay, so what was the thinking there? Why get out the Prime Dragon Keeper and Galmew?
No,
as
because
opposed
it's
to the other
not
way
it's
around?
not a full clear, which I didn't like. That was like the first instinct I had. It's not a full clear. Not only is it not a full clear, you're potentially leaving behind the Serpent Ring, which is huge. And now you're just going to get your board cleared.
Yeah, MENSOU can clear this board.
Of course, Galmew can clear the follow-up board,
Care to touch?
but you're allowing extra damage. I don't know. I don't like it. Gotta
Oh,
say I
this
don't like
actually
it.
doesn't clear the board.
Care to touch?
The way I think he could have.
Did he mess that up?
I think. Okay.
He played the Serpent Drake instead of using the Dragon. Should I
No,
play
the
kill?
Serpent Drake was already on the field. He played Prime
Oh, yeah,
Dragon.
you're right.
Keeper,
You're right. You're right.
And then he played Roy.
That's right. Never mind.
I guess he attacked with the. He went face instead of trading it.
No. He just traded.
Yeah.
You just
Okay.
couldn't clear the board. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So did the best he could to clear the board, and then fill in his hand with a way to actually destroy opposing followers next turn. So CRUMSION did actually let the Prime Dragon Keeper survive. However, this is a rough board, right? Galmew is not an easy full clear here. However, the Disciple makes things a little bit easier. Now you can actually Evo Prime Dragon Keeper here. These turns do get pretty rough
Yeah.
in the mid-game.
Burn the darkness. Scorch the light.
Oh, he's going. Oh, I thought he was going Ozzy Haka.
Ooh,
Wait a
yeah.
minute. Spicy.
Get away from me.
So needed to Evo the Prime Dragon Keeper to let it survive the Galmew attack. Or proc, rather.
Of course, Galmew's effect only activates once this turn.
But you can Disciple
Strike
into
hands or mother.
one of these to finish off the board here.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, so and no easy board clear for MENSOU. So actually CRUMSION's line of play and
Care
another
to
Galmew in hand. Wow. Really pushing him over the top this game. So definitely in the lead, has the Ozzy to Haka in hand, and can actually protect the Ozzy to Haka with an accelerated Poseidon if he wants to.
This is a 6-cost Ozzy to Haka.
I think this game might be over. I think CRUMSION found the hump and crossed it.
Strike one's own mother.
Basically had more Galmews than his opponent. And you know what? Sometimes just like Ektars and Unlimited Shadowcraft, that's all you need.
Time is there. That's going to be a win for
Oh.
CRUMSION.
What?
Wow. So
Taking a win, taking a game in this series. MENSOU, though, still match point.
So this is also telling to me, when CRUMSION needed to switch the tempo back into his favor, you know what I mean? Get a win under his belt, try to
Yeah.
shift this matchup, he chose to mirror match Dragon into Dragon. That tells me he feels like Dragon might be his favorite deck in the format as well. It's the only deck that can really beat itself.
It's interesting. Okay, so now CRUMSION's got to go into that Dragon list with his Blood deck and his Shadow list. His Blood deck was not really working for him.
I believe Dragon to be very favored in both matchups. Because Dragon is just faster at doing what those decks want to do.
Got it.
It can clear your board, it can fill up the board, and it can end the game with
can
Big
go
Storm
face,
followers.
yeah,
Yeah, it can go face. These other decks need combos to kill you. Dragon just needs big dudes.
Just needs the big guy,
Yeah, it doesn't need any setup. It's just, I got a big guy, and
Let
I'm
me
going to
take
go face.
you to the underworld.
Right, we're seeing
Shall we cross
Arcus
swords?
Shadowcraft and Prime Dragon Keeper go head-to-head here in this match point game. Could be the last game of the day. MENSOU or CRUMSION.
That's right. So far, POTWASHER is the only Pan American player to win this week. It's true. Pan America only got one win last week
Yeah, with POTWASHER.
with POTWASHER.
Yeah.
That's true. No. Oh yeah, it was against MENSOU.
It
yeah,
was against MENSOU, yeah.
POTWASHER was MENSOU. Yeah, that's right. We'll see. We'll see if the Frenchman.
This is getting
keep
dicey,
taking 'em.
man. Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you, next week, if these poll results don't skew a little bit more in the favor of HISHIRO and MENSOU,
calling shenanigans.
I'm calling a cyber slap to all of our viewers. Okay.
I'm right there with you, man.
You heard me. You heard me, viewers. I'm taking my glove off, and I'm giving you the old gentleman slap.
Cypher
How
slap.
dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
When we start talking in British accents, you know that the day's going well.
The Europeans are there.
Time for a do-over.
All right, so CRUMSION with an okay curve here. Good 2 into 3. He's got some card draw. He's got Arcus already in hand. MENSOU on the other side of the board. No ramp yet, but has a little bit of card draw. Going first, though, which is good if you don't have any ramp, of course. But drawing into that Waters of the Orca can now contest the board early.
Not bad, yeah, right on turn 4.
Card is so good.
It's an amazing card. You want a 2-drop? You got it. You want 2 2-drops?
Yeah, you want 2?
You got
For
it.
the price of 1? Great.
You want 5 2-drops?
Yeah, you just get them all. All right, so second Arcus, definitely not what Crumsion wants to see there, but definitely not, you know, doesn't matter too much.
Sure, he had something to do on turn 3. He's got his own Pure Heart Singer, so both players getting
Did you want
draw
it?
here.
That's right. So the way Shadow wins this is not through aggression. This is not a type of Shadow deck that can beat Dragon just on curve,
Yeah.
going balls to the wall face. It needs to prevent all the damage it can, get to turn 10 or 10 play points so that it can play its combo and just win the game outright.
No, I can't disappear yet.
Now, of course, there are situations where Arcus value over time can win, but generally Dragon's not going to give you that much time. We see here Crumsion with his one of Tecton Undying Resentment.
Oh, that's right. It is a 1-of. Okay.
It's not a bad card to have in the deck. You just don't want to flood your hand with it.
Yeah. It's nice if you can ping off like a 4 defense follower, for instance, like a Galmu that's been damaged once. Yeah,
It basically serves oh man, cards today. You tell me Orthrus. It serves the
Okay,
Orthrus
yeah.
effect in this deck where you want to kill an evolved follower, but you don't want to use an evolution orb. Undying Resentment is definitely one of the ways to do it.
Come, I'll love you down to the bone.
All right, so he'll fill up the board quite a bit here.
Hush, little baby. Don't.
This also allows Undying Resentment or
Time for a
Grimoire
do-over.
plus a Mischievous Spirit to be played, depending on how wide you want to go.
It's
Pretty
so
good. It fills up the
cold.
board entirely. And of course, the Grimoire effect activates on the Lady Grey. He gets to draw a card when it's destroyed.
Yeah, I like it. Fill up the board. This is before you have a fully active Galmu, so might as well get the board out now. I don't see any problem with it.
Bad.
And yeah, there's just not a lot to do here for MENSOU. I mean, he can play a Galmu and evolve it through the Rending, and then clear off a few followers. That might actually just be the best play. You get to save your Evo
But he only
point.
has 5 play points.
Oh, that's true.
He probably just has to evolve the Galmi on its own.
Yeah, and using the Galmu this early does not feel good. Your hand is so ridiculous right here if you're playing Dragoncraft. What you're looking at. You've got all of the cards that need you to be at 7, but none of the ramp to get you there.
I'll be home soon.
This game definitely not over, though. I mean, Crumsion did expend a lot of his resources to this early board. Doesn't have a Cerberus here to follow up on 5 with, and MENSOU found a way to clear this board.
Unto dust I
Says who
return.
needs Galmu?
I've got accelerated Poseidon.
I've
man.
got accelerated Poseidon.
God of the Oceans. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it feels like to get stabbed by a Trident.
Probably not good.
Probably not good.
I haven't been stabbed by a Trident, but I have stubbed my toe before.
Oh,
And
yes,
let me tell
very
you,
close.
That is, not enjoyable. Not enjoyable whatsoever. I would not.
Very close experience.
That's the only thing I have to compare. What
Tangling with the god of the seas and stubbing your toe. All right. You know what?
Comparable experience.
Comparable. Absolutely. I hope that happens in Aquaman. I think just someone stubbing their toe and making a reference. It's like, oh man, Aquaman. I guess that's kind of what people would think when they're, like people have always made fun of Aquaman.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just one of those people and you're doing it very subtly.
Never know.
Yeah. I guess Poseidon's not the same thing. But
Anywho.
back to the game. Crumsion's actually going to play board trade here like we were talking about. Don't allow Dragon to get any damage on you if you can help it.
Just throw down an Andrialphus here for card draw, deciding. Okay, no, yeah, just getting his turn there.
His turn 5, turn 6 are so weak, which is going to help MENSOU actually get back into this game because his turn 5, turn 6 are so weak. Drawing that Servant, though, was pretty keen. It can help him draw some more cards.
Sure.
Can use the Evo point if he wants to. I kind of like the Rending, though.
Yeah, but he gets to keep the Galmi for next turn. Clear off some other followers. Maybe if there's a Cerberus in Crumsion's hand, but Cerberus didn't come down on turn 5. MENSOU's got to know that it's not in his hand. And that it's going to be off the top. If it is, wow, look at that.
Oh, there's something.
Pretty nice.
There it is. I'm not a huge fan of saving the Serpent Drake here. Maybe he just wants something to do
Yeah, I guess.
with the Prime Dragon Keeper. Never mind. It's a fine keep. What am I talking about? It's the only thing in his hand.
Aside from Poseidon's Guard, yeah.
Sure.
But still, having with 2 Prime Dragon Keepers, 2 followers, yeah, it makes sense to keep it.
This is the type of hand you might need Poseidon to win, the 8-drop Poseidon, because you don't have Ozzy to Hakas in your hand. You don't have any damage dealt yet. You might have to play a longer game. Dragon can actually circumvent some turns post turn 10 against Shadow.
Right.
It's possible. I know it because I've done it. It's not always likely. Like,
Yeah.
if they get the perfect draw, you know, on turn 10, they get the nice, you know, Gilnelise with the fairy and everything going.
It's possible.
It's possible. But the problem is that if their hand is stuffed, right, they've got so many cards in their hand, and then they draw cards with Gilnelise late in the game, they might overdraw their fairy.
Sure.
They might not have fairy. They might have had to play too many fairies early in the game for tempo.
You might give your opponent the Azita Haka that they've been looking for.
Exactly, and then they can finish off the game if you don't
Yeah.
end the game immediately. So it gets really dicey in the end game. And if they go Poseidon after Poseidon, they could stall you just long enough to get where they need to be.
There is no meaning in power.
Here we see just another perfect turn for Gilnelise. Always works.
Always works. But, I mean, MENSOU can clear the board here with his Galmew.
Yeah, I think it's just the easiest choice. As a matter of fact, now the way Galmew works, it might be not as clear because 1 damage from the Mimi will hit,
Oh, that's right.
and then if it hits the now 1/1 Coco, then you'd have to trade the Galmew into the Cerberus instead of just getting a free clear off of it.
That's true.
Ooh, actually, yeah, not as easy these days. So what's the other option? He can Prime Dragon Keeper, play a Serpent Drake. If he hits either of the small followers,
Wretched place.
nope, he's just gonna go for it.
All over it.
All right, let's see how it works.
Stay away from your blade and fly
Balls
beneath
first
me.
and then the peak.
Big
Yep.
head for such a
Ah, okay.
All right, he's got to run it in.
Gotta get that. Clears the board, though, still for just
Are
one
we
card in
done?
his hand.
That's right. Of course, Crumsion heals back, gets some damage in himself. Not huge in either way.
Crumsion has an Arcus in his hand.
3 Arcus.
Wonderful prayer.
3 Arcus, easy.
What a crucial decision that was last turn for MENSOU because, I mean, now Crumsion didn't have to use an Evo point this turn. He can probably use that Evo point towards damage directly to face in the coming turns.
Yep, this might be a game. I mean, he does have Gilnelise. Crumsion doesn't have to, like, just rely on, I'm going to go face with everything. He's going to get a few damage points in. He's going to draw some cards.
That's true.
But essentially, the goal is to try to empty your hand as much as you can before the Gilnelise so that you can reliably get that fairy. Now, of course, you don't have to get the fairy if your opponent doesn't really do anything to defend the board. You can just go damage plus Gilnelise, put a bunch of ghosts in play and pump them all,
That's right.
or Grimory.
8 damage possible next turn with Mischievous Spirit and then Gilnelise. If he decides to use an Evo Orb, probably won't.
Okay, Poseidon's coming down now. I really like it. This will Evo over the Arcus. Give you some wards to kind of block what your opponent can do next turn and hopefully allow this Poseidon to stay alive for a turn. Wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
But you always hope.
Sure.
I can't imagine this Evo will not happen over the Arcus. If you allow this Arcus, then the damage potential before turn 10 actually activates.
Actually doubles, basically. He's thinking about it, though.
Yes.
Embrace your demise.
I don't think this is a question. I think you've got to do this.
My fury
It stinks.
is one with the
got it.
ocean.
Because if they clear off your 2 wards, which is very
Come
easy with an
again,
Evo point left over, and you get dealt 6 damage while your board gets cleared, feels really bad.
Yes, so Crumsion can Mischievous Spirit and then Gilnelise clear off the whole board if he wants to. That would require an Evo Orb on the Gilnelise.
And the Gilnelise would just get popped away. You don't need to do that. You can play
Yeah.
Fran this turn for 3 and clear off the big follower plus some small followers here. I kind of even like leading off with the Belenus. Maybe lead off with Belenus, play the Fran,
See where the damage goes.
yep, and then clear off the followers that you need to.
Maybe Andrialpha's first draw card.
Sure, yeah. It's the power of Arcus. You can kind of just do whatever you
Second.
want.
Yeah. Not bad.
Not bad at all. And that's only 5 play points used this turn. Actually, no. Speaking of the Fran, that's actually all 8 play points used if you use the Geist as well as the Spirit.
I'm coming. I'm coming for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is he going to Evo a Ghost or is he going to save the Gilnelise?
Smash him to pieces.
Right down into one of the
Oh,
cards
I
and then
could
bang, bang,
just
boom.
gobble you
Yeah, that's
up.
true. You can do it this
Lord
way.
Poseidon.
That's way better than trading it into Poseidon.
Oh, yeah.
100% better. All right, so leaving the Gilnelise, no Evos left for MENSOU. No way to actively clear this 5-6. I speak
The
too soon.
flames
Top
are
deck's
like
the
a
perfect
god
card.
omniscient.
So now he
Care
can
to
ping,
touch?
draw, and then he gets a new Serpent Drake at the beginning of next turn to deal
teach you
a
how
final 2
powerless.
Very good setup.
Care to
Friends and
touch?
Frenzy
Yeah,
Drake, but
yeah.
that doesn't really do too much against Shadow at this point.
Not
Arcus
against
down.
Arcus, yeah.
Care to touch?
That is a one-of also in Mensou's deck. Plays one Frenzy Drake.
This is another different Dolphus. Yes, you can get it. After that, if you don't like it, ooh, that's nice. That's very, very nice.
I think you still have to Gilnelis. I think you just Gilnelis, and maybe you don't even trade because you don't want to open up board spaces for Mensou to potentially have a chance to kill your Gilnelis.
Oh, that's true.
So this is a tough turn to play. Never mind when I said that this isn't that effective against Shadow. It gives him the one out possible to kill the Gilnelis. The problem is he's only got 3 cards in his hand. So he's 1 away from just
Yeah.
killing the Gilnelis. That's rough. That feels real crappy.
He still has another Prime Dragon Keeper, and he can come in a Serpent Drake.
It's true.
But still, you know, what are the chances of that?
Okay, so saving Gilnelis, playing a longer game. Doesn't feel any pressure yet.
One's own mother.
Nothing wrong with this either. I like this slower game plan as well.
Why are you letting me live?
Because you know what? You got Prime Dragon Keeper. You have a way to play Gilnelis. Little does he know his best chance of that Gilnelis surviving is actually playing it that turn.
Saves the Fran's Curse.
What?
Using it this turn.
Yeah,
Okay.
keeping the board.
Yep.
But now this gives Mensou time to fill his hand with cards. It's still hard. It's still going to be hard to keep his hand, you know, filled up to 5 to kill a Gilnelis. But gives him time.
He can Dragon Oracle, see what he gets, and then probably just play Poseidon after that. But I mean, yeah. Then again, Mensou is just waiting for his hand to get the Azirahakas that are just down in his deck somewhere. Or at that stage of the game, you need to have that card.
This is the most fun end game for me in rotation right
it's
now.
brilliant.
It's literally just what resources do I play? Does he have the Gilnelis?
So difficult.
Can I kill it? If he does have the Gilnelis, how do I protect myself? Okay, there it is. Poseidon will come down.
In the middle of the ocean.
All right. And Poseidon is one of those cards that you just need to get down so that you can spike a potential 5 damage to your opponent. You need to be able to close this gap at some point. Start getting some damage in. And if Crumsion was too afraid to play Gilnelis last turn, maybe again this turn. This is a really good turn for Gilnelis, though. Got a really nice Belnelis into Gilnelis here. Clear out
Belnelis.
Belnelis. Yeah.
That's good. Use Fran's Curse as well along with that.
I am Belinus the Shining.
I'm coming for you.
So Belnelis.
Nice little Italian name there.
That's right.
Beautiful name.
Did you see?
It's like Mother Lisa.
That name definitely doesn't exist
Shh.
anywhere.
All right, so board clear. Can keep the Fran's Curse in hand. No necessary reason for using it if you don't want to. Just clean trades all across the board. Now the real question is, does Crumsion want to get 6 damage in face here and allow 5 damage? Because allowing 5 damage isn't that big of a deal. And Azirahaga coming down is only 11 damage next turn. He's still out of lethal range. Gilnelis is still alive, but if he gets 6 damage in, he might be able to win without Gilnelis proccing, if for whatever reason Mensou has a way to clear off the Gilnelis.
Sure. Oh, man.
So he's deciding. It's tough. He's got not a lot of time. He's going to clear.
The ocean.
That's tough. I don't know what I would do in that situation.
It buys himself possibly a whole other turn.
It's true. But now, as we talked about earlier, if this Gilnelis stays, both players will be drawing into their endgame. Now, of course, it favors Crumsion because he can deal 17 out of hand, whereas Dragoncraft cannot do that. And again, that 1 damage away from killing the Gilnelis.
1 damage. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Yeah, Prime Dragon Keeper's not going to do it. 4 damage, man.
Nope. And you can't combination it with anything else in hand to get it done. Oh, God. Feels bad, man.
That hurts.
No wards. Poseidon's 2 Poseidons used. That, effectually, before a Gilnelis comes down, makes me think that Mensou is actually in a tough spot. He doesn't really have any good ways to defend himself anymore. So right now, he's just crossing his fingers, hoping that something like a fairy does not get top decked.
Sure.
With only 21 cards in the deck and 5 new cards being added to the hand next turn for CRUMSION, there is a good chance that a fairy
Still
appears.
no match for Mr.
Care to
Dragon.
touch?
5 new cards plus the card Crucible will draw. just
Care
at the
to
start of
touch?
his
Well,
turn.
you overdraw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So there's a chance.
there's a chance for fairy to get overdrawn. That's a Gremory in hand,
Oh, the fairy was overdrawn!
but he has Gremory.
But he has Gremory.
He has Gremory. And he has Gilnelis. But yeah, fairy was probably instant death.
Wow. Yeah, fairy was certainly. Let's
I'm
see.
sorry, I didn't mean to detract from your reaction because it was an appropriate one.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like right now I'm like
Yeah.
in the math tank. Is there
Absolutely, yeah.
is there a possible lethal? So he can play a Belnalisa. I'm gonna say Belnalisa again. I knew I was gonna say it.
Belinus. And
Belinus. And he can he can also play Lyria. And then he can have 4 ghosts down to 3 after he trades 1, and then Gremory or Gilnelis. And then he's got 3 ghosts.
Gilnelis this turn he can heal back up to
20. Yeah, so there's 9 plus 5 is 14. So there's not lethal this turn. So no fairy means no lethal.
No fairy, no lethal.
No fairy, no lethal. Is right.
Yeah.
And if you don't have lethal, going back up to 20 is pretty safe. Again, even with an Ozzy to Haka next turn, you're looking at 6, 9, 11, 12, potentially a little bit more if the Prime Dragon procs.
I'm coming.
But I like this just push.
You feel like killing yet?
To strike one's own
A
mother.
special death
Okay.
from yours too.
So I'll at least draw 1 extra card because one the ball follower will stay,
I'm coming.
even if the Gilnelis
for
stays.
you.
So this is kind of like a 1-2 punch, right? You get a bunch of damage in, you have a Gilnelis backup for future turns if you want to go back into your endgame card draw. And you've also gotten your opponent down to 11, which is an easier defense
Yeah, I think he
total to fight.
ran out of time on that turn.
Did he not get an attack in?
2 ghosts didn't attack. And he attacked with one of the 3. So there was 3
Oh,
three
CRUMSION.
ghosts and 1 other ghost. Yeah, you ran out of time.
Maybe he's just not that comfortable with the deck yet.
Wow.
I don't know. You
That
can see it.
is-
He slunk back into his
Yeah.
chair.
That is one of the difficult things about this deck. Some turns take some
I mean, there's a lot of
serious thought.
animations, a lot of attacks. He does not feel good about this. And
All
again,
animations take a long time.
this is what I'm talking about. So CRUMSION needs these weeks. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like, this is what
yes.
they're for. You need to get thrown to the gauntlet. You need to, be battle tested with these decks. And honestly, he's looked so clean all year. For him to start faltering just even these little chinks in his armor right now, I like to see the human side of CRUMSION
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
I'm
He
trying to think about exactly how much damage he missed out. So,
potentially 6 if there was 2 ghosts that didn't attack.
yeah, potentially 6.
Yeah. I mean, which would have made it easy lethal next turn.
I'll trample all over it.
But that's not the case, but that's
Get
okay.
away from your place and fly beneath
It's
me.
not over yet.
Only 1 Ozzy to Haka was drawn through the card draw here.
I'll show you disdain.
Still a lot of damage coming in, though, and boards that you have to clear. But yeah, these are the types of games you cannot have in Japan.
Absolutely.
If you miss anything in Japan, your opponents will make you suffer. And Mensu is definitely one of those players as well. Oh, you just messed up huge here. I am not going to take it easy. I'm going to press.
Yes, I've got all the favor now.
Yeah. All right, so now we're looking at another turn where CRUMSION does have to set up. So again, guys, this is not over. The problem is his hand doesn't have any small drops to go along with Gilnelis here, so this might just have to be a Gilnelis pass turn. Which means he's leaving up a potential 11, but that's not lethal again. But that Frenzy Drake is in hand with more than enough cards now.
Okay, yeah, Orthrus and then possibly Cerberus.
Okay, fill up the board this way. I like it. If he can force out this Frenzy Drake now before Gilnelis, very good.
Yeah, this might just be a Force Frenzy Drake.
Galmew, again, it's a rough spot for Galmew because it's force procced on these Mimikokos.
Yeah.
And you can't proc it any extra with the Disciple anymore. So yeah, I think Frenzy Drake is forced here. But it's also how you rise above these situations. You make a huge misplay, you don't get all your stuff in, but you have to be able to brush it off. If you do potentially make mistakes like this, you have to be able to stand up, brush it off,
Yep.
and keep finishing out the game to the best of your ability.
Okay,
Because
Andrew-
if you let this tilt affect you, it could just make you misplay for the rest of the game.
Absolutely.
You got to get over it.
Absolutely. Okay, so CRUMSION Andriolphus was great there. That's a possible 6 damage this turn with Gilnoise. He gets a Mischievous Spirit.
Coming.
No way, that's it! That's game! Oh my gosh!
It's close. Crumsion put in enough work with Shadow in this late game. Poseidons were used early to where he had enough time
Magnificent.
to even come back there. All right, so taking that drink of water, coming back.
Oh my gosh. It took Andriolphus into Mischievous Spirit there. The 2 cards right off the top. At least a 2-drop
However,
with draw.
to win the game immediately.
Yes.
MENSOU did not have the win on the next turn. He was so far away from it. He didn't even have his first Ozzy Dahaka until after the redraw from Gilnoise. So very behind in the cards he needed to win that game. But Crumsion still able to finish that one out even after a mistake. That's what you got to do, guys. And now we're going into set point. Tempo Storm's Crumsion versus Revelations MENSOU. Again, 2 of the top players on the planet in the West right now. Let's go.
Bloodcraft into Dragoncraft. Crumsion is shaking his head. He was not performing very well with his Dark Beast bet. We'll see if he can shake that off.
Well, here's the
Perform
thing.
well here.
Crumsion's one of those
What's the
players who's
matter?
really hard on himself. He
Petrified
makes
already?
mistakes, especially in front of people.
Shall we cross
He
swords?
doesn't feel good about it. He knows he's making mistakes. He doesn't. It's just bad all overall for him. But he doesn't let it affect his play too much, which I've always liked.
Sure.
Admired that about Crumsion. MENSOU, on the other hand, if you guys noticed, is not on camera this week. And last week was having a few, connection things going on. He's moving right now.
Yep.
He's moving from his hometown to Paris. He's playing on tablets. He's moving around. I think he's on data.
Yeah, got a lot of things on his
He's
mind.
got a lot of things going
Yeah.
on right now, but
Oh,
he
yeah.
still finds time to come down and play, tier 1 Shadowverse against the likes of
And
Crumsion.
performing incredibly well,
Dragon.
not to mention.
Absolutely.
Hats off to him.
All right, so let's see if Crumsion can make it work with Bloodcraft. So far, unable to catch a win with this deck against the other 2. Let's see if he can find a win against Dragon.
Yeah, I don't mind Alexandrite Demon this turn. Just getting the blue Sapphire in your hand. Blazing Sapphire.
Alexandrite Demon is almost always the play every turn. Card is good.
It's very good.
Like basically, if you give me a random Bloodcraft hand and a random turn, and you say, hey, what's the best card to play this turn? I'd be like, Alexandrite Demon.
Yeah, not even looking at the hand.
Yeah.
You should play Alexander.
Yeah, you should probably play the Demon.
Gaze into the crystal.
Essentially sets you up for everything you need to do, right? It gives you the card draw without taking 2 damage immediately, so that you can actually set it up to proc a Floros on later turns. It gives you the self-damage in general. A lot of things going for that card. A lot harder to proc Floros effectively now because you're doing it with more expensive spells. So, need ways to set it up. And Dragoncraft is definitely a deck you need Floros against.
Definitely need that heal. Okay, Crumsion coming into the Disciple there. That's,
Perfect.
yeah, pretty good.
Lets him play his Sapphire and play the 1-drop. You don't necessarily need it unless he really wants to keep it for a Floros proc. I don't think he needs to, though, if he plays the Sapphire. But maybe he wants to keep it. We've seen POTWASHER do it plenty, where you keep the Disciple until your Evo turns so that it can be a 1-cost just activator for Floros.
Sure. We'll give him that damage. MENSOU has a board that allows him to trade into it nice and easily, but I think getting the draw here and then playing out a follower, it's play time.
I think it's
efficient.
fine, yeah.
It's totally fine.
Totally fine. If he goes for the removal this turn, I'm not as happy. I'd rather get the card selection going now when you can, because you can trade with a 2-2, take 1 damage next turn potentially, and just get card selection going into your later turns.
Still room for
Yeah,
improvement.
not a huge fan of this play.
What did you
This
learn?
does allow him to play the Disciple into an empty board, which I guess is fine. So definitely a different thought pattern than I was going with that turn.
That's fine, getting an empty board as opposed to having the Pirated Seeker being able
Sure.
to trade into
Sure.
the-
Wrong with it. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4 options. So Floros now does become an option this turn. You can actually do it on top of the Vera this turn as well. So very good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so opened himself up for it and got there.
Man, Vera getting the Floros, that's insane.
That's like the best tempo push the deck can provide, right?
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
the Evoed Vira on the same turn as you have the Floros. Your opponent's only on 5 play points. Like, they're not dealing with everything. So Crumsion's got to want to go for it this turn. He knows it's available. It really just has to be the choice he wants to make this turn with it. I like it. I don't think there's a better thing you can do with that hand right now. Not only that, but one of the self-damage procs is Servant, which means it's another follower.
See? Open wide.
Oh, okay. Not playing the Vira.
You can do it this way, yeah.
Yeah, you can do it this way. He wants to heal. So to the card draw. Okay. I guess that was the consideration. Just wants the most heal he can possibly get. Now, of course, if he goes back to 14...
Let me weave you a lie.
I'm sorry, 18, and then heals. He'll be losing out on
Rip
1.
you to pieces.
Now with Evo, he'll be losing out on a few more points
Open your
of
ears,
heal.
you curve.
But I think he's okay with just going back to 20. He wants this game to go as late as possible.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right there. Let's see, Galmu, and now that Vira is not
Look
in
at-
play.
Look at
yeah.
Crumbsian right now. I
He
don't think
is-
on every turn he's just like, am I making the right play? Am I making the right play?
I feel like he's second-guessing himself.
I think he is. I think he is. I mean, these are tough. Bloodcraft is a tough deck to play.
Absolutely.
Unto dust I return you. Tear away from your brood and fly beneath me.
Yeah, looking at the hand context, again, still would like the Vira play just because card draw as opposed to life gain right now I think is a little bit more important. I think going back to 20 is very solid against Dragoncraft. Don't get me wrong. We saw you how good that was against, you know, the Shadowcraft deck, where it just had plenty of time to do its endgame thing.
Vira, great play here.
How's this for a
And to know this turn.
transformation?
He can still trade it into the Galmu. I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean he can do the Evo thing.
oh, yeah,
yeah.
sure. But nothing to play along with.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
you're talking
He does have Wings of Lust plus Veer in his hand though.
about. That's great.
I might actually get to see this.
For the first time.
This might happen. Does he need it
It's
though?
6 play points.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to heal right now. Doesn't
Yeah,
need to
that's
use the
true.
Evo point right
That's
now.
true. Yeah, we might not see it. Not yet.
He needs card draw.
No,
He needs
Yeah,
more
not
of it.
yet.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's pretty good.
Little Razor Claw face, little Floros action. I like this.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Don't even need to Evo the Floros here.
Yeah, the White Frost Whisper was used last turn, so... Huh.
I think you do it. You got to get the damage in.
Yep.
Get the Floros down for heal. Opponent's only at 7 play points.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Mensu doesn't have the Whisper enhance. Crucible has that.
That's at a pretty decent place because we've already had a proc Floros.
That's true.
And other things
Sometimes all
going on
you
as
need is 2 bats, man, over the course of turn 8 and turn 9. The Sapphire's going to proc again next turn. The bat's up there.
For my Catalina.
well. Okay. Going with a different option. Potentially going with the Razor Claw this turn and just not self-damaging. Just really wants to play safe.
Maybe the Razor Claw and the Wings of Lust.
There is no meaning.
Let me weave you
Oh.
a lie.
I'm not as sure if I like this play. This, again, doesn't do anything with the Vira.
It doesn't do anything with the Floros either.
Yeah.
I guess that's all. I mean, that is what Crucible has. I mean, but maybe.
But, like, he could have saved the Evo there. Could have
Yeah.
gotten extra damage in with Razor Claw and actually effectively used the heal from Floros.
Sure.
And then save the Vira for a possible lethal turn, or even next turn. I don't know. I'm not a
Yeah.
huge fan of a lot of these plays from Crumbsian these couple turns here. Because this is a tempo turn. This is a harder board to deal with, but once it's dealt with, you have nothing. Literally nothing. And this Dark Feast bat's definitely not at 17. I don't think it's at 13 yet either, which is what you would need it to be with the Razor Claw. So you're gonna need to draw into another Dark Feast bat. So I think his game plan now is just I need to get lucky. I need to draw another Dark Feast bat. If he doesn't, he's probably gonna lose this game. But he put himself into that situation.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
He didn't get the extra card draw with the Restless Parish. He didn't draw earlier with his other cards. He's not giving himself enough as much time by playing both of these cards in the same turn.
Mr. Dragon. Embrace your demise. I won't
But he's
let
still
you
at
harm
20.
Mr. Dragon.
So I'll give him that. He's got time to draw a bat.
He's got plenty of time, man. I mean, even if there's Ozzy to Haken and Ozzy to Haken, like it's a couple turns.
And never mind.
My word is my bond.
Mensu cannot deal with this virus, so that's an extra 4 damage being dealt.
Yep.
Turning out to be very good here.
Ooh.
Never mind, I say I don't like it, but heck if I know, man.
That's actually not bad. Okay, so the Vira can go up to 6 after he plays Servant of Lust and then Razor Claw. He doesn't even need the Drain.
I mean, he can fit a decent amount.
I think he can end the turn. I think he can end the game next turn.
Yeah. I think this opened it up. Let's see. So he can self-damage. He'll self-damage 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Go down to 14. Get his opponent down to 6, 9, down to 8. I think we're there. He's even just going to use the drain. He doesn't even want the extra self-damage to serve it.
Yep. He's got to know. Yeah, it's at least at 8. Okay.
Yeah, forget it. What do I know, man?
Yeah.
Vira plus Floros?
Oh my gosh, I think that's just it.
Best turn ever.
I think that's game.
Do we know what the bat's at?
It's at least at 8.
Okay. Okay,
It's
that is at 8.
exactly at
It's
8.
exactly at 8. Okay. Wow. Never mind. You know what, CRUMSION? Again, this is why these players are here and we're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Wow, that was perfectly set up there in that last turn for CRUMSION.
He covered his eyes because he didn't know if he was making the right play. Turns out, perfect.
It worked out. Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Turns out Darkvy's bet's still pretty good.
Yeah, Darkvy's bat will end the game. MENSOU knows the self-damage ticker. I mean, he's, of course, been writing it down as it's been happening.
I think MENSOU knows, okay, if he has Darkvy's bat, I can't play towards it like that. I have
So
to play
now,
like he doesn't have it.
yeah, now this is exactly what the case calls for. I've got to play like he doesn't have Darkvy's bat. The end.
Wretched place. I'll trample all over it.
This will just be a free, like a nice easy trade into the Vira.
Lie beneath me.
Probably play
I
the
never
lead so he can get something to deal with the follower next turn. But no heal. CRUMSION's gonna come out the victor after being behind 2 to nada.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
You know what,
Wow.
viewers? You were right this time.
Have I failed?
You were right.
Woo!
They guessed it right, and that is CRUMSION taking away the victory from MENSOU. United States of America.
Now here's the thing about
Beats
these
France.
matches, and this is why I love the Crucible right now. You saw the emotions on
It was
CRUMSION.
tough.
The entire match.
So tough.
So draining these games are. This is every round at the World
Yeah.
Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Every
And the
round.
days are long at the World Grand
Yes.
Prix. They're possibly 10 hours of just playing Shadowverse for 2 different
That's
days.
why we wanted to set something
Yeah.
like this up. We need to give them that, even if it is just for a
Yeah.
couple short
And you
games
saw the
every
expression
day.
on MENSOU's face. He was so stoic. He wasn't giving us a thing. He was focused, lasered in.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But yeah, I mean, this is what it's like. It's grueling, but the reward is so big. Again, guys, $1 million to first place. They need to be grueling days, okay? We need to run these young 20-somethings, late teenagers through the ringer if they want $1 million.
If anything, this format is too easy.
It's
for
too
them.
easy. That's right. They don't have to do anything crazy. They just got to play card games.
Yeah, just got to play card games. Still, I mean, what a great day that was. We saw
So good.
POTWASHER take down ESSIA, HISHIRO take down SPRAYQUAZA. It was a great day. It was a great day. We got to see some good take 2, some good rotation. This is the result of today. It is now 3 points for 3. Next week is going to be the deciding factor between these players.
That's right. So, evening things up are POTWASHER and CRUMSION. SPRAYQUAZA still without a win to his name, but we'll see if he can get there. Yeah.
And there can't be, I mean, enough said about like these players' skill, but also the skill of the players that they're going to be facing against in the World Grand Prix. I mean, this is some of the best talent in the world. We've got 4A, Forest. I mean, they qualified through the Shadowverse Brigade of the Sky Grand Finals, and the Net East Championship. ZenX and Yuzu took that one.
That's right. And then, of course, we've got 1-2-1-2 and 9 Voice. I love these names, right?
That's great
that they've
names,
got
yeah.
from the 2018 Shadowverse Taiwan Opium Championship. And, of course, Mingy God, the Masters of Shadowverse Korea Season 3, and then still yet to be determined from another Rage that's going to be happening.
It's going to be the top 2 will qualify through the Rage and the Elder team.
So last week we saw a lot of the Japanese players that were already qualified. This is from the rest of the world out there, from the East that's going on. So a lot of just players who have won big major events going to be clashing forces.
And there's so many interesting things that can be said about these players. I mean, Forrest is the founder of a team that he himself created, and he's there represented. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
If you guys want to check out more information about the World Grand Prix at any time, Shadowverse WGP, they have a beautiful site set up for it.
It's really great.
You can go check out all the competitors that are going to be there, the format, where it's going to be at, all that kind of stuff. It's a great website to check out. And you get really cool snippets about the stories. I love the way Japanese writers write about their players.
That's great. It's very animated.
It's like with class and certainty, he has built himself up over trials of time to become the best.
The Green Master of the Forest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. In no way, shape, or form am I making fun of it. I think it's actually amazing.
it's
I think it's
incredible,
great. It's a really cool way to present people you've never seen before. So go check out those little snippets on the website.
Absolutely. Please do that. And for us, week 2 of the Crucible has come to a close. You can check us out for the final week next week, Saturday, same time, 10 a.m. to find out who is going to be the victor, the Pan American team or the European team. And of course, the winning team, each member will take home the coveted Cerberus figurine statue.
That's
I think
right.
a prize any one of us would be proud to own.
Any one of us. I'm considering taking it home before you guys even know.
All right, and with that, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.